Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Based on from which part of the world you have joined this session here, I welcome all of you on this webinar where we will do a quick refresher, check our preparedness for the PMP examination. It is going to be a 3-hour session, and we will touch upon the most important topics to clear the PMP examination in the first attempt. Uh, Before we start, let me just tell you there is a GoToWebinar tool pane on your right side of the screen where you can see your question window or chat window. If you have any question or any doubt or any concern, you can just type in your question and I'll address your concern and query and also answer your question. Moving to the next, before we start the session, just a quick introduction about myself. I'm Nishant Shukla and have spent more than 2 decades in the industry in the various domains, and for past almost 12 years I've been into trainings as well. I provide training on PMP exam preparation, project management, program management, and various other topics as well. Training is my passion and I love doing that. I have trained thousands of people across the globe from US to Philippines, and a lot of experience, and I'm there on the social media. If you wish to connect with me, you can find me there on the LinkedIn, and I have my Facebook page as well. You can connect with me and post your queries and I'll be glad to assist you there. And moving on to the agenda of this session, it's a 3-hour session. It's a long session, but we will make it very interesting here and informative as well. So I'm not covering the basics like what are the eligibility criteria, how you should apply, what is the process of application. If you have any questions of that sort, I would suggest you go to Edureka website, www.edureka.co/blog, and you can search for my project management webinars there. So I have done this small sessions on different topics like how to apply, what is the application process, eligibility criteria, how you can calculate your project management experience. But here in this session, we are going to talk about the myths of about the PMP examination and the PMP certification. We will also talk about the tips to crack the PMP examination in the first attempt. And then we move on to the functional topics here. We'll understand the project management, the constraints of the project management, and what are the factors that influence the project. We also will have a quick overview of process and project management framework. And then the most important topic, that is 360-degree overview of the PMBOK guide 5th edition. So this is the topic where we are going to spend the maximum time because we have 47 processes to be covered there. And we will have Q&A session as well, where I'll open the forum and I'll be glad to answer all of your questions. In between also, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask through the question window and I'll answer during the logical breaks there. And as I told you, it's a 3-hour session. We will also have 2 small breaks because we need to refresh and re-energize ourselves. I'll announce the break at the appropriate time, and we'll quickly resume after those breaks. So there is a question from Samson here. Is this session recorded and available for watching in future? Yes, Samson, the session is being recorded, and after the session that gets over within 24 hours, you are going to receive a mail with the slides of this used in the session and also the recording. Okay. So this is the crisp agenda, and moving forward, I'm straight away jumping to the topics here. That is myths about the PMP examination. So this is one area where a lot of people get confused. I'm going to talk about only 3 popular myths here, but there are a lot of myths. So first is you need to have 35 PDUs. Please remember, to apply to become eligible to take the PMP examination, you need contact hour certificate, that is 35 contact hour certificate. And if you are a postgraduate or if you have done your PhD or doctorate or any other post-graduation degree, that is not going to help you. That will not give you any PDUs. For these contact hours, you need to go for project management PMP exam preparation training, which are conducted by REPs, registered education provider of PMI. You must go through and go to an REP for this training, and after the completion of the training, you will receive a 35 contact hours certificate, which will make you eligible to take your PMP exam. And once you clear the PMP exam and you earn this PMP credential, then you need to start earning those PDUs, that is professional development units. So each hour spent in any recognized or authorized by PMI, any activity which is recognized or authorized by PMI is going to give you one PDO. So over a period of 3 years time, you need to earn 60 PDUs. Okay. Another most popular myth, I would say most popular, is that passing score for the PMP examination is 61%, which is absolutely wrong. Okay, so earlier PMI used to give the scores, but after November 2005, PMI stopped publishing the passing percentage and it became a psychometric assessment. So instead of percentage, they give you the grades, and no one knows what algorithm PMI uses to decide whether the person has passed or cleared the PMP examination or not. For example, when you start taking the exam, there would be you encounter a question, question number 10. So there is a particular situation here given, and based on that situation, there are 4 options given to you, 4 questions. You will have to select the right question from there. uh, After you answer that and you move on, let's say around question number 55, you'll get the same question with the different set of options. The same question may reappear at 115 also, with a different set of options and with minor changes in the situation as well. So PMI is going to check that how you reach to, or did you apply any logic to reach to the correct answer, or was it just by a fluke. It may also happen that you answered the first question correctly, but for next 2 questions your answer was incorrect. Okay, so they will use the certain approach to come to reach to this conclusion, or to decide whether you have passed this examination or not. So if anyone says that you need to score 61%, that is absolutely wrong. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that, how you should assess your preparedness for that in the next slides. Another thing is that some people say that you must memorize, you have to mug up all these ITTOs, tools and techniques, and processes and everything. There are more than 500 ITTOs. There are 47 processes and more than 500 ITTOs in the PMBOK guide 5th edition, and it is very difficult to memorize each and everything. And even if you memorize, even if you have the photographic memory and you memorize it, that will still not going to help you. You need to understand the concept. PMI also insists that you must understand the concept. Out of 200 questions, almost 80% of the questions will be situational questions. You will be given a scenario and you will have to take the right decision. You will have to select the right option, right answer from the options given to you. So there the memorization may not help always, but you must understand the concept, which is most important. So most of the questions relate to how or why a specific ITU is used. So the focus will be on application of that, how you are going to apply that. Okay, so do not focus on memorizing that, but understand the concept. If you understand the concept well, you will be able to answer those specific questions as well, where you are asked that which of the process has what input or what output. Okay. Okay, so these are some of the popular myths. If you have any other question or doubt, of if you have heard of any myths, you can ask me now, and I'll be glad to clarify those doubts there. With this, we move on to the next topic here, which is quite important. A lot of people ask this question, that how much time is needed to prepare. Some people think that I need to study for 2 months or 3 months or 5 months, and somehow there is a myth about this exam, that it's very difficult. Believe me, it's not that difficult. If you apply the right strategy, if you use the right approach, it is not difficult. Okay, it may become quite easy and quite interesting for you as well. So the overall time needed to become a PMP would be somewhere between, I would say 8 to 10 weeks. That includes the application process, sorry, 6 to 8 weeks. That includes the application process also as well. But there can be certain situations, like in case your application is picked up for audit. So the first step towards your PMP journey is you need to go for a training. You attend the training because why I suggest you should attend the training first is because it is going to clarify a lot of doubts and you'll get absolute clarity on how to go about it. Then you submit your application, which can be a lengthy process because you need to document your project management experience in the application form, and there is a question related to this: any management experience needed as a prerequisite? Yes, Amit, project management experience is needed, and as I told you, I will not focus on the prerequisites or eligibility criteria because that would take some time. I would sincerely suggest that you search on the YouTube also. You can look for my blog, or I'm making a note of your name and I'll ensure that you receive the link of that blog which talks about the prerequisites and also the application process. So you document your experience and you submit the application. And important point to understand here is while submitting the application, you need not to submit any document. In case if your application is picked up for audit, okay, then PMI is going to send you a mail notifying you the entire the process that you need to adopt, uh, you need to follow to fulfill the audit requirements. So after you submit your application, PMI will take approximately 5 days or maximum 5 days to check the completeness of that application, and after that you'll receive a notification that your application, your credentials have been verified. Now you can go ahead and make the payment. The moment you make the payment, that time PMI is going to pick up 80%, 20% of the applications on a random basis for audit. In case if your application is not selected for the audit, right after your payment is received, you'll receive a link saying that you can go ahead and book your examination at the Prometric Center, nearby Prometric Center. So if then the process becomes very simple. You just need to go to the Prometric website and you need to book your examination. In case your application is picked up for audit, then you need to follow the process. So all the project management experience that you have mentioned, all the project that you have mentioned in your application, you need to provide a reference of for that project. So any stakeholder who was involved actively in this project, you need to reach out to them, get a very small and simple form filled by them and provide that information to PMI. So that in case your application is picked up for audit, it takes approximately 1 to 3 weeks. Sometime it may go to 1 to 4 weeks as well if your stakeholders are in some other country, because that post may take some time. Okay, at this point of time, I'll just say mention that there are some questions coming up. I am keeping an eye on them, but let me just complete this first step till scheduling the examination and I'll answer your question. So it may take around 1 to 4 weeks time depending on the number of projects you have mentioned, or depending on the stakeholders and how many stakeholders you had in that in all those projects. So you need to reach out to those people and get this application, get this form signed by them and forward that to PMI. There is a detailed process which I have explained in my other webinars. You can go through that. And after your audit is clear, you will again receive a notification from PMI where and they will ask you to go and schedule the examination at the Prometric Center. So generally exams are conducted in Prometric Center computer-based examination, and if there is no Prometric Center within the radius of 200 miles from the place where you live, then PMI conduct this paper-based examination. In India, there are 6 Prometric centers in different cities. Sorry, 4 Prometric centers. You can go to those places and you can check the availability. You can go to www.prometric.com/PMI and check the nearby Prometric center. There are also PBT, that is paper-based test, which PMI is organizing. So you can reach out to us after the session and I will be glad to assist you about the schedule for the paper-based examination. Okay, and now let me just focus on the questions. There were few questions. I'm sorry, I wanted to take a logical pause to answer those questions. So first question was, okay, so there was a point by Shailendra, please share the link. Shailendra, definitely you will get the link after the session gets over. Devesh has a question: if someone completed 35 PDUs, until how many months he should appear for the exam, PMP examination? Devesh, very good question. And First of all, this 35 contact hours certificate does not comes with any expiry date. You can go ahead and schedule the examination in a month's time, 2 months time, or even after 1 or 2 years also. But I would suggest, if you completed your training 2 years or 3 years back, and now you want to go for the PMP examination, I would sincerely suggest that you re-attend the training, because your memory would fade with time, and it's very, very important to keep yourself updated with the changes that PMI has incorporated, maybe in the examination or in the PMBOK guide. Okay, so to conclude this question, you can go you can use this certificate even after 1 year or 2 year as well. It does not comes with any expiry date, but you must try to complete the examination, take the exam within 3 months after you complete the training. Okay. Mukesh Mathur is asking question, will you help us in filling the application, because I am not from IT and do not know how to write about projects. Yes, Mukesh, we definitely will help you. We assist, we provide the personal assistance in filling up the application form. We in fact have a Excel based tool where you can capture your experience on the offline, and that makes things easy. When you go to the PMI website and start filling the application form, things become quite easier for that. Okay, we will assist you in that. And Vamsidhar is asking this question, how much project management experience required at minimum? Okay, so since there were 2-3 questions, let me answer that. If you are a graduate, you need to have 4,500 hours of project management experience, and if you're a non-graduate, then it becomes 7,500 hours. So if you're a graduate, that you need to have minimum 3 years of experience. So within in minimum 3 years of experience, you need to get 4,500 hours of project management experience. Okay, and you can refer to any project that you handled in past 8 years time. So it's not that, if you have 15 years of experience or 20 years of experience and you worked on a project sometime in 2001 and you want to refer that project, no, that you should not do. Okay, so I hope I answered your question and you have some clarity on this. And Vivek is saying, can I have links for your previous webinars? Yes, Vivek, definitely. So when you receive this mailer with the recording of this session and also the slides, I will ensure that the link for other webinars are also included into that. That way, everyone will be able to go through those webinars. Geetika has a question here. If I have planned to cover one reference book and one PMBOK, then how to go through whole book in 6 to 8 weeks? Geetika, very important question, and that is what we are going to discuss in a while from now. Just stay on and we will talk about this. I'll make sure that we cover that. In case if you still have any doubt, please remind me and I'll answer those questions. That is what we are going to cover now. Okay. Geetika is saying it is not possible to go through 1,000 pages of topics in 8 weeks. Yes, definitely not possible. If you use the standard approach to study read that. So we will talk about a strategy, how we should go about it. Okay. Anil is saying, do we get any PDU for this webinar? Anil, if you are an existing PMP, then I mean, for this webinar, we will not offer any PDUs, because if you have heard, PMI is going through the CCR cleanup cycle, and the approach that they use to provide PDUs for these sessions and courses and activities has changed. So we are in the process of updating that. Once we update that, we will make sure that you are getting this PDU for this webinar as well, but you will not get it immediately. Okay. And Geetika is saying, is training material from Edureka and PMBOK sufficient for study? Yes, Geetika, definitely. That is how it is designed. So you can reuse this and clear your PMP examination. And Samson has a question here. Samson Badal has a question. If for some reason someone of us miss the deadline date of January 11th, how much difference do you think would be between this exam and the next examination? For those of us who have gotten used to recent material, will it be a mistake to miss the examination date? Samson, there would be approximately 25% to 25% content will change. If you miss your examination date, or if you have prepared on the existing version and the current pattern of the examination, and you have to take the exam after 11 January, so you will have to go through it, you'll have to do the refresher. But all the customers that who have taken this PMP course at Edureka, they need not to worry about it, because we are going to provide refresher sessions. We are going to provide session on the updates and changes, and that is also absolutely free of cost. So in case if you attended the training but you missed, you will not be able to take the exam before 11th January, you need not to worry about that. We will help you prepare for the next version or updated version of the examination as well. Okay. And Vasu has a question: if now I'm not a PA member of PMI, how can I submit your application? You can take the PMI membership. It's a 2-minute process. All you need is you need to fill up a simple form using your credit card. You need to pay $139. Okay. Okay, so there is a good news for all those PMP aspirants. If you want to go for if you apply before December, then the PMI membership has come down to $129. So you will save $29. All those people who applied for who became a member sometime in past few months, and if you renew your PMI membership before December 2015, then you, instead of paying $139, you need to pay just $65 to renew your PMI membership. For the new members, it is $129. For the existing members, renewal fee will be $65 if you renew before December 2015. Alka said, I am not clear on your last statement. Alka, if you can specify that, I will definitely be assist you. Okay, so you mentioned we need to provide the last 3 years project experience. No, it's not last 3 years. You can provide the experience from any project that you have handled in past 8 years. So I can say that maximum is 8 years and minimum is 3 years. When I say maximum 8 years, doesn't mean that if you have 10 years of experience, you cannot go for it. But the experience that you're going to show, try to show that from the project that you have handled in past 8 years. And if you are if you have joined the industry very recently, you have just 1 or 2 years of experience, then you are not eligible right now. You can go for CAPM examination. CAPM is quite similar to PMP, but the way the exam is conducted, the questions, the type of questions you get are different. Okay, and the exam is comparatively easier, and the smaller version of that is for the people who do not have any experience but they need to start using project management in their role. I hope this clarified your doubt. And Ekank has a question: is Rita Murkai book sufficient for passing? Well, there are a lot of books. Rita Mulkai definitely is a good book. I can suggest you to go for that. But do not even think of going for PMP examination without reading PMBOK guide cover to cover. That is must. Okay. Swati is asking, can we fill one project for three project if it is not current but within last 8 years? Swati, I'm sorry, I'm not very clear with the question. Can we fill one project for 3 projects? If you can clarify that, I'll be glad to answer that question. And Hui Chan has a question: if I start today, then how long I can pass the PMP examination? How long will I have to spend a day? Okay, so I think 6 weeks time, 6 to 8 weeks time should be sufficient for you, considering that you will be able to devote almost 2 hours every day minimum. That is minimum every day. So I think you should be ready for exam in maximum 8 weeks time. If you want, I mean, if there are some specific situation, your professional commitments, it can go to 9 weeks as well. Again, it's not a war. No one is going to come and hold you that, why you're going in the 9th week, but this is a guidance. It is not exact 8 weeks. It all depends on your own understanding. It may take 9 to 10 weeks also, and there would be some people who will say that, okay, I'm ready in 4 weeks time as well. So the guidance is 8 weeks time. Okay. Komod has a question. Please let us know how to calculate project hours. Komod, what I'll do is, along with the mailer, when you receive the webinar, you'll get to know about that in detail. In case if you have any question after that, you can reach out to me. There is a question from Indrajit. I heard PMP version is going to change in January 2016. It's not the, okay, yes, examination pattern is going to change in 2016. Okay, exam pattern will change, but PMBOK guide will not change. There are some tasks in each of the domain which are changing, and it's not a major change, but yes, 20 to 25% of the content will change. Exam questions will change. Okay. Mr. Anil is saying, can I sit back and wait for the PDUs? Yes, you can, and you'll get its own. And Professor Bhaskar Rao has a question, teaching software project management is considered or not? Mr. Bhaskar Rao, Prabhakar Rao, I mean, this probably I will have to speak to you offline, and once I understand the kind of work and the kind of project that you teach, I will definitely be able to give you the right information. Okay, you are assisting different projects, then yes, definitely it can count, you can count that as a project management experience. Geetika has a question, how many reschedule of exam date is possible? Well, if you reschedule the exam date within 30 days of the exam, then you'll have to pay a rescheduling fee of $70. Okay, so you can, as long as your pocket allows, you can go ahead and reschedule it. But remember, rescheduling before 48 hours of the examination time is not allowed. No show is considered as one attempt gone. Okay. Shrikant is asking, let's keep Q&A after the session. Shrikant, yes, but if the pace at which the questions are coming, there would be more than 200, 300 questions at the end. So that's why I'm taking the logical breaks and answering those questions. I'm so sorry, but please bear with us. We will reach to the real topic in some time, and very soon. Okay. Membership is annual, Mr. Prabhakar Rao, and Mr. Vasu, I am sorry, I probably missed your point here. If you can reiterate that, I'll be glad to answer those questions. And I can see the number of questions are increasing here. So what I'll do is I'll just take a pause here, because some of the questions are very basic here. I would sincerely request all of you to please go through those webinars, and your questions will be answered there. I anyway have the compilation of all these questions, and I'll reach out to each one of you in case if I miss your questions to answer those things. Okay. So let me quickly go back to the slide here, and during the next week again I'll see from where I have missed, and I'll try to answer all those questions. So after you schedule your examination and you have booked a date of, let's say, 2 months or 3 months from now or 1 month from now, then you need to start preparing there. So the ideal study time that I suggest, the minimum time that you have to do is 2 to 3 weeks time. So the suggestion is, do not try to cover everything in one attempt. Okay. Uh, you make sure that you are devoting a minimum 2 hours every day, and during those 2 hours you do not, in case if you end up reading one chapter from PMBOK guide, do not try to cover the next one as well. Try to cover one module in one study session. So go through this PMBOK guide or any reference book that you're studying right now, and do not attempt those questions right now. First is you become familiar with the subject. So after you have completed one cycle, that is the time to jump onto the mock test. So on Edureka LMS, there are more than 1,000 questions available. Then what you need to do is you start taking the questions and you check your knowledge. You see what score you're getting, and how many questions you're getting right, and that will help you understand what are the gaps in your knowledge. In the next slide, we talk about the tips and tricks for the examination, where I'll talk about these things in very detail here. So you keep on doing this study and mock test, and study and mock test, this combination there with a proper approach, and then I'm sure you'll be able to take the examination within 6 to 8 weeks time. So as I told you that this is just a guidance. So when you take this mock test, you have to ensure that you're scoring above 85 or 90% in the mock test. Then only you should feel confident about taking the PMP examination. If you're scoring around 60-65% in the in the mock test, that means there is a knowledge gap. What is a knowledge gap? Let's talk about in the next slide there. So after that, you need to go and take the examination, and I'm sure you'll be able to clear that in first attempt. And after you become PMP and earn your credential, then this certificate will be valid for 3 years time. You need to renew the PMP certification after every 3 years. And the renewal process is, you need to report 60 PDUs and you need to pay the renewal fee. So 60 PDUs, as I told you, each hour spent in any activity which is recognized by PMI is going to give you one PDO. Sorry for that. So that way you need to earn 60 PDUs, and after you complete your PDUs, you need to go to the PMI website and renew your application, renew your credential by paying the renewal fee. And in case if you fail to report 60 PDUs, then your PMP credentials or certificate will be suspended for a period of 1 year. If you fail to renew it during that suspension period, then your certificate will be, your credentials will be cancelled, and you will have to start from the scratch, start from the very beginning in case if your application, in case your certificate expires. So during this entire journey, Edureka will be there with you. We will support you in each and every step and aspect of your PMP journey, right from support and right from providing the training to application audit and assistance form, and then personalized assistance by SME from Edureka. And we will also provide you all the mock tests. We have more than 1200 questions, and we will also assist you in earning PDUs to renew your PMP certification. Okay. So with this, we move to the next slide here, where we have another important topic to discuss, that is tips and tricks to clear the PMP examination. And after that, I'll get back to the questions, and I'll cover those questions which I missed in the previous during the previous logical break. So the first and most important suggestion and the tip that I want to give you is understand the PMIism. Okay, as I told you, there are almost 80% of the question, approximately 80% of questions which are absolutely situation based. Okay, and you will have to have a purview of a project manager. You will always be in the situation of a project manager, and you need to understand what is the PMI way of handling that situation. You might have faced the similar situation in past while working on the project. You might have used certain techniques or certain different tricks to handle those situations or resolve those situations. But during the PMP examination, you must remember one thing. What does PMBOK guide says about this? What does PMI says about this situation? No matter how bad the situation is, but stick to the PMBOK guide. Stick to the processes given in the PMBOK guide. Okay, and seek support from experts whenever needed. So this is a one very common problem here. From my experience, I have seen that people who become PA, who have cleared PMP, they might have done their PMP 3 years back, 4 years back, 5 years, or maybe 10 years back as well. Their knowledge and information might not be updated. Okay, so I would sincerely suggest always rely on the most authenticated source of information. You can log into www.pmi.org to get your questions answered. You can download the PMP handbook there, and you can go through that to get all the questions answered. If you have any further doubt, you can write into support@edureka.co, or as I told you, I'm available on the social media, on the LinkedIn. You can connect with me there, and you can drop in a message, and I'll be glad to answer those questions. The advantage that you get with Edureka is because all the sessions are recorded. We have the live instructor-led virtual training, so all the sessions are recorded, so you can go through those recordings any time you want, and n number of times, as many times as you want. The moment the session gets over, the recording will be uploaded in your LMS, so you can keep refreshing your memories. You can keep refreshing your knowledge about the subject. Another important point is practice mock test, but you should not jump to the practice questions or mock questions right from the day one. First is you go through the PMBOK guide or any other reference book that you want to use. Okay, first you understand the concept, and then you start taking this mock test. So you do one mock test, and after that you will have a very clear idea about what are your weak areas and what are your strong areas. Identify your weak areas, and then you must rely on PMBOK guide. Go to the PMBOK guide, read that section, understand, try to figure out yourself without looking at the solutions for the question. Try to figure out yourself that what mistake you made, and read through PMBOK. Next attempt when you do the next mock test you take from our LMS, then you will probably have a better score, and you will be able to improve on your weak areas. And a lot of people ask this question. I'm getting 50% score, I'm getting 60% score. Do you think I'm ready for the examination? My suggestion is, no matter from where you are looking at the questions, it might be any nook and corner of the world, because these days when you Google for the PMP mock test, you'll get hundreds and tons of links. Wherever you go, you have to ensure that you are scoring approximately 85 to 90% in the practice examination. Okay, if you are scoring low, find out your weak areas and then go about it. Okay, another suggestion from my side is use a tiered testing strategy, and this is very important for the PMP examination as well. Do not try to answer each and every question when you are going there. So what you do is you take these questions in the layers, in the tiers. So first round, first pass, do not spend more than 20 seconds on a question. Okay, you read through it. If you are able to answer it within 20-25 seconds, answer it, otherwise flag it. After you have completed this, you come back, and in the second pass you probably give a minute. So in the last attempt, in the first pass you gave around 20-25 seconds. In the second pass you give a minute to each those questions which you have marked. Okay, now important point is, when you are marking those questions or when you are putting a flag to this question, make a note in your notepad. Keep a notepad handy with you, and second pass you answer spend this question. By the time you complete second pass, you probably would have completed some 120 130 questions, and then you go to the third pass where you can spend approximately 2 to 3 minutes or 3-4 minutes as well. Okay, so this is a very good approach, and if you go by this, then you will be able to complete those 200 questions in approximately 3 to 3.5 hours time, which will give you around 30 to 45 minutes of time to review everything. And in case you end up spending more time in the last phase, where you have the most difficult and the lengthy tricky numerical questions, you will have sufficient time. Okay, another thing is, answer all the questions. Do not skip any question. If you have missed out any question, then again you are not going to get any marks for that. But remember, there is no negative marking in the PMP examination. If you answer any question incorrectly, they are not going to deduct any score from there. So you can use your wild guess, you can use just any assumption to whatever is the best possible answer from your side, and just select that. Your best guess has 25% chances of being right. Okay, if it is wrong, there is no negative marking, but who knows, it may be the right answer. So do not leave any question blank, attempt all the questions. And most important point is one of the most important point is, you must take break. A lot of people make this mistake. They try to finish everything without taking break. It's very important, because 200 questions in 4 hours time can be tiring. So make sure you are taking enough breaks. Make a strategy. So make a strategy that you'll take minimum 2 breaks of 5 minutes every 90 minutes, or you can also take it up as you will attempt 75 questions, then you'll take a 5-minute break. You can keep some fruits with you, like apple or chocolate, which will give you the instant energy. And again, don't try Red Bull, that may give you the wings. Okay, that may make you hyper. So keep some refreshment, take a natural bio break, and re-energize yourself and come back and take the remaining questions. Okay. So these are some of the suggestions that I had for you, and I hope you'll find them useful. Now quickly let me go through the questions here. I can see a lot of questions coming up. I'm not sure if I'll be able to all of the questions, but let's see whatever I can do. Okay. Abhishek, yes, I got your point. We will have to answer limited questions, because we will not be able to cover all the topics here. Just give me a few minutes. I'll look at some of the key questions and I'll go about it. For the basic questions, please, excuse me for that. I will not repeat those questions which I already answered, or the basic questions. Please refer to the webinar link that I'm going to send you. Okay. Samson is saying that I've been reading through Edureka handbook that you guys have with 226 pages. Is literally similar to PMBOK guide. Samson, you pick up any reference book and everything is based on PMBOK guide. you pick up any guide from anywhere, it is completely based on PMBOK guide, because the framework is set by PMI. We cannot go beyond that framework. Okay, so that I suggest is sufficient. A lot of people have cleared. The pass percentage here in Edureka is more than 97%. So you just rely on that, you go through that, take mock questions. If you need any help, you can reach out to me, and I'm sure you'll be able to clear that. Okay. uh, Deepak is asking, will you be covering few processes? Yes, I will be covering all the processes. Critical path I'm not going to cover. Please wait for 1 more week. I'm going to have a separate session on the critical path and earn value, but we are going to cover all the 47 processes here. Okay. Yes, Mr. Prabhakar Rao, you can share your email address. You can send me a mail and we'll discuss that. Okay. And then let me just scroll through the questions. Geetika, yes, you can schedule your examination second time. And give me just a minute. I'm going through the questions. Okay, so Sudarshan has asked a question: do we get PMBOK guide along with the course registration with Edureka? No, no organization in the world can give you the soft copy of PMBOK guide. When you enroll for the examination, you will get your own personalized copy, soft copy of PMBOK guide from PMI website. Okay. Okay. And then we have okay. Arun is asking what is the cost of PMP training in Edureka. Arun, you can log into our website www.edureka.co/PMP and you'll be able to see the pricing there. You can get the details from there. Okay. Uh, Abhishek, how many questions on roles and responsibility and ethics? Abhishek, there is no specific number of questions coming from each process or each topic here. But in the few later slides, we'll see how the questions are distributed among all these domains of project management. Okay. Okay, Sonal is asking what percentage of numerical problems are expected in the examination. Again, from my experience and from my knowledge, what I heard from the people, sometimes they get approximately 20 to 25 questions numerical. Some people have received 15 to 20 questions also numerical. So I think on an average around you can expect approximately 10 to 15% of the questions as numerical questions. But again, they may not be exactly the same. You may get around 7-8%, you can get around 15-20% also. Okay, so with this I can see a lot of questions. I'm sorry people, I have not answered all the questions because I've been just repeating that. Please go through my other webinars and you will be able to get answer to this question. So with this we move on to the next topic here, and we start with the core topics here, that is introduction to the project and program management. We will talk about the project and project management, and we will also understand what are the constraints of the project management and certain other basic information. Okay. Okay. So talking about the project and project management, so the definition of the project as per PMBOK guide is any temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result is a project. So any activity that you're going to do, which is temporary in nature, that means it has a definite start date and definite end date, and the outcome of the project is unique. Okay, that will fall into the category of being a project. And once you have a project, then you need to start applying, you need to start managing the project. You will have to do the project management. And project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet the project requirement. So let me ask you a question. Let me ask a question to all of you. What do you think a knowledge part is here? What do you think? What do you understand about the knowledge? You can just type in the your answer there in the question window. What do you understand by knowledge? Okay, experience, books, knowledge areas, domains. Okay, okay, intelligence, something that you learn, experience. Yes, knowing what to do, absolutely correct. But When PMBOK says knowledge, it means knowledge about the processes, knowledge about the project management, how you're going to manage that project. Okay, when I say knowledge, I am not necessarily saying that you need to have the domain knowledge, that if you're coming from IT application, you should know how the softwares are developed, you should know how the infrastructure management happened, you should know about construction. That subject knowledge is needed, but you must have the knowledge of project management. And then skills. Skills means you need to have at the project manager's position, you need to manage the team, you need to manage the people, you need to manage the stakeholder. Okay, so you need to have the right skills, you need to have certain competencies, soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, to manage the expectations of all those stakeholders, and using tools and techniques. So there are a lot of tools available to you, project management tools. We talk about when we go to the processes, we'll understand that each process is made up of inputs, tools and techniques, and output. So you should know how and when to apply those tools and techniques to get the desired result. A combination of that or application of that is your project management. Okay, so understand this definition, because this is going to help you a lot. And it also talks about the generic management skills and professional ethics. It's very, very important to have those competencies, the right competencies. And in the 5th edition of PMBOK guide, PMI has put a lot of emphasis on competencies and the interpersonal skills of the project manager, which are extremely important. So the question here is where the project manager is going to use the entire knowledge, skills, tools and techniques. And that will be used in making sure that all the constraints of the project are in control, or the constraints of the project are balanced. You must have heard of this constraints of project management, or the competing factors. You know, your scope, time, cost, quality, resources, risk. These are some of the key competing factors of the project management. So if you assume a triangle which has one arm as scope, and then second is time, and third is cost, and if you make changes to any of the element, it is going to impact your other elements as well, other element as well. For example, your customer comes and says, I want you to do a project in 3 months time, and the budget for that is $100,000, and I want an application to be developed or a product to be delivered with so many specifications and features. Everything is reviewed and finalized, you start working on that, and if there is any change in the scope, then you will not be able to balance, you may not be able to complete that in the given time, you may not be able to complete that in the given budget also, and it may increase your risks as well. So you will apply your knowledge, skills and tools and techniques to make sure there is always a right balance among all these project constraints, and it is a responsibility of the project manager. Project manager is the captain of the ship. So project manager will have to ensure that all the factors are in control always. And that is where we spend most of the time, okay, in balancing the constraints here. But all said and done, it's always easy to talk about it, stand here and talk about it, but the very big difficult when we have to start using that in our real life. And that is where PMBOK guide and the knowledge that you get from the PMBOK guide comes into the picture. So there are some standards available to you. So PMBOK guide, moving on to the next one, when we talk about certain factors which are influencing your project. So you need to use certain standards. You need to use that knowledge which is given there. So PMBOK guide is not a methodology. PMBOK guide is a collection of the best practices used across industries across the globe. You need to pick and choose the right processes and right standards for your organization, build your own methodology and start using it. And when you talk about managing the project, you must also understand what are the different factors which may influence or which will influence your project. It's very, very important to understand these factors here. I will give you an example when we reach to that point topic, and there are some questions coming up. Let me just look into those questions here. So okay, so let me just take the first question here. Okay, Shashi has a point to say here that some project managers use only Excel and PPT to manage the project. Shashi, I really cannot comment on that whether that's the right approach or wrong approach, because ultimately, whatever thought process you have, you need to document that somewhere. You need to write that somewhere. So maybe that's why they're using Excel and PPT. But most important is your own competencies, the project manager's competencies and the interpersonal skills. So you can use this Excel and PPT to record your data, document your information. But how you're going to apply those standards, how you're going to lead the entire team, how you're going to use your knowledge and skills for the decision making, that is the real differentiator. Using Excel and PPT is not bad. In fact, that is needed also. I really cannot imagine the life without Excel and PPT. But it all depends on your leadership skills, your competencies, your interpersonal skills. Okay, so iron triangle, yes, Hari, it is actually in a way it is an iron triangle where we see the scope, time and cost, and quality in the center of it. These are the most important constraints of any project. So now let us talk about the factors which influence your project significantly here. So first thing that we going to talk about is your systems of the organization. Your organization system, like you may have some PMIS, you will have your culture, different culture, and the culture of the organization will have a significant impact. Your values, your beliefs, expectations, policies and procedures. Some of the organization are called and famous as a process driven organization. Okay, so there the culture that you see, or the way you manage the project will be completely different. The authority, view of authority relationship, your work ethics and work hours, your organization structure, these all things make a significant impact on your project management. Okay. When we talk about organizational structure, this is a very important topic from the examination point of view. You will get a couple of questions from this topic here. So before you start anything, before even you start planning or doing anything, you must understand that you work in what kind of organization, what is the structure that the organization follow. Okay, so there are three broad categories: projectized organization, matrix organization, and functional organization. And important for you to understand is each type of the organization, each type of the structure will define what power and authority project manager has. Okay, I'll give you an example. Suppose you are the project manager and you're working on a project. Okay, and you have some task and some activities which you assign to a quality analyst. But the way organization is structured, that quality analyst does not report to you. That person is reporting to the quality manager, which is reporting to the global quality head. So the project that you're working on is 6 months long, and you have some responsibility assigned to that quality analyst, which is going to come after probably 3 months. When the time comes, you reach out to the quality analyst and ask him, hey man, I had asked you to complete this work, or we have this deliverables coming up, please finish that on time. And then that analyst says, I'm sorry, I cannot work on it, I have some other priorities, my boss has given me some additional work. If you have any problem or if you have any challenges, please speak to my boss, but I will not be able to work on that. Now your timelines are gone for a toss. You know that if the person does not finish his work, you will not be able to complete the project in time. So what happens is you speak to the quality head, you reach out to that people, and there is an issue, you try to resolve that. And then that the person says, okay, this person is really tied up, I cannot give you the resource, or maybe we can do that next week. So this is a situation when you realize that you do not have authority over all the project resources. And if you had considered these factors before you started working on the project, before you finalize the schedule, it definitely would have helped you in preparing for this situation. Okay, so it's very important for each one of you to realize, to identify you work in which type of organization, and based on that you will get to know what power of authority you will have. So as I told you, there are three categories here: projectized, functional, and the matrix organization. So functional organization is where project manager, there is no clear title of the project manager. Project manager has the least authority and least power. It's a mere project coordinator. Projectized organization is just opposite of that, where project manager is the supreme most authority in the project. All the resources are under the project manager. Everyone reports to the project manager, and team is made up of people with a different subject matter expertise. Matrix organization has three subcategories, that is weak matrix, balanced matrix, and strong matrix. And matrix organization is a blend of project and functional organization. So in the next slide here, you can see for each type of organization, what is the project manager's authority and what is the project manager role and other detail. So if you talk about project manager's authority, in functional organization, mostly it is none, or it can be, if it is there, it is very little. But in a functional, there is no clear title of the project manager also. Project manager is mostly called as project coordinator. In the weak matrix, project manager has very little authority, very limited authority. In balanced matrix, it is from low to moderate. Strong matrix is moderate to high. And in projectized organization, it is almost total. It is actually the maximum authority during in a projectized organization. Remember, organizations do not change their structure for each project. This type of organization is decided and agreed by the leadership and the senior management. Okay, for a project, you may not have authority to change the type of the organization. And also, there is nothing right or wrong. No one can say that functional organization is a better organization than the projectized, or the other way around. It all depends on the type of industry you're working, the nature of the work that you do, and also the organizational policy and the environment. There is nothing right or wrong in that. But this topic is very important from the examination point of view. You can expect around 4 to 5 or 6 questions also only coming from this topic. So read this topic thoroughly, understand that, and always remember one thing in mind: the type of organization will tell you what authority you will have as a project manager. And in the real life situation, I think this will be very helpful, because if you understand this, if you plan for it in advance, just relate to the situation that I explained you. If you had known about the authority that you have in the beginning of the project, you probably would have prepared or incorporated that situation, or kept some buffer time in your project plan, in buffer time in your schedule. So in case if the person is tied up, or in case if you do not get the resources on time, you always have some cushion. So these are the factors you must consider while working on a real-time project as well. Okay. Another important point is your OPA, organizational process asset. So we are going to talk about OPA and EEF, two important top elements here. So organizational process asset is an element which will be an input to all of your planning processes. Remember, for the PMP examination, you must understand what is OPA. So OPA, organizational process assets, includes all your informal plans, your processes, your policies, procedures, and the knowledge base which is coming from your lessons learned, or the historical information, or the database, the project database that you may have. Okay, all the process. So we talked about governance. We talked about this knowledge and tools and techniques. So how we are going to use these tools and techniques? We need to rely on certain templates. Okay, your PMO must have made some templates, or as a project manager, you will make certain templates, or maybe a year back or 2 years back, your organization handled similar kind of project, and they created certain templates, they created certain processes, and they created a repository of the data. That all will be a part of your organizational process asset. Okay, it mostly includes your process and process procedures, and also your corporate knowledge base, which consists of your financial database, your files, your project data, project files from the previous project, your configuration management knowledge base, your issues and defect management database, your process measurement database, historical information, and just not limited to these topics. There would be a lot of other information as well. So remember, from the examination point of view, Organizational process asset will always refer to your historical information or the templates or the specific processes that you need to follow. Okay, and another important topic element will be your enterprise environmental factors. Enterprise environmental factor also you will see is an input in all your planning processes here. This includes your organizational culture, structure, governance, your standards, government or industry standards. For example, you work in an industry which let's say you are in a manufacturing industry and you have to do a project to for the plant expansion of your expansion of your manufacturing unit, and in that process you use some hazardous chemicals or material, and your company policy is that no resource from your organization will be involved in handling those hazardous chemicals or chemicals which poses a threat of certain category. So even if your organization has right budget and capabilities, but still you will have to outsource that work to a third party agency who is best prepared or organization to handle this kind of material. That may be that will impact your project significantly, because when you're outsourcing, your timelines may get impacted, your scope will have to be monitored very closely, your costs may include increase, your quality, you need to define the some actions or the activities that how you're going to manage that quality. So there is a question from Bhargav Pandey: server or system computer required is OPA or EEA? No, that is neither OPA or enterprise environmental factor, but that you will consider, that you will review during your activity resource requirement. So there is a process activity resource requirement here where you will identify all the human or material resources needed for this project. Okay, but if you already have some infrastructure and there are some guidelines or processes associated with that, so the processes will fall into your OPA, and all the standard and guidelines will be a part of your enterprise environmental factor. Okay, for example, okay, just to clarify this point here, if you are in BFSI sector and you use confidential data, you use secure financial applications, then there may be certain guidance that you can use only certain type of applications, or you will have to use certain type of firewall or security applications. That guidance will come from enterprise environmental factor, and whatever application you use, it must fulfill those criteria defined in your enterprise environmental factor. Okay, so I hope this answered your questions, Bhargava. And with this, we are ready to move to the next topic here, where we are going to talk about the process and project management framework. Okay, so if you have any question up to on whatever we have covered so far, please type in and give me just 1 minute to sip some water and take a just a very quick and small break. I'll be here, just hang on to it, give me a minute. Okay, we are back now and ready to go. So the next topic that we are going to talk about is the process and project management framework. We will quickly wrap this topic. It's very simple and easy to understand. So this talks about the PMBOK guide, how this PMBOK guide is structured and organized. PMBOK guide is divided into three sections or three parts. In first part, we talk about the project management framework, where we have the introduction and our all organizational influence, what we talked about, our EEAF, enterprise environmental factor, OPA, and also the type of organization. You will also learn about some business values. You'll understand the competencies of the project manager and some other topics in this section. Next is the standard for project management of a project, where we talk about the process groups and the processes. So the entire PMBOK has the PMBOK guide has 5 project PM process group, project management process groups, or we can also call them as domains of project management. And there are 47 processes falling in each of these domains. Not each, okay, they are not equally distributed. They are mapped to this third section, which are 10 distinctive knowledge areas. So each knowledge area has certain processes which are mapped to these 5 process groups defined in PMBOK guide. And we are going to cover all those 47 processes here. And Avnish is saying, are you muted? We are unable to hear you. Avnish, I am not on mute. Please, in case if anyone else has an issue, please type it on there. Okay, thanks a lot. So that might be a temporary problem there. So when we talk about the domains of the project management or the PM process group, there are 5 domains and process group, which is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So the someone asked a question that what changes are going to happen in January when the examination pattern change. So one of the most important change that you will see here is the distribution of questions for execution has increased from 30 to 31%, and it has come down for closing from 8 to 7%. So all these 200 questions will be mixed randomly. Okay, they'll be all objective type and they'll be mixed randomly, and this will be the distribution. So but from my experience, I can tell you, sometimes you probably will not be able to figure out that this is coming from which process group, but without spending your time or without thinking about this is coming from which process group, you just focus on the question and answer that question. Ashish Agrawal is saying, is this session available later on Edureka website or YouTube? Yes, Ashish, within 24 hours this session will be there on the YouTube, and you're also going to receive a link of a mail which will have all the slides I'm using here and also the recording of this session here. Okay. Uh, okay. So with this, we move on to the next year and talk about this 10 distinctive knowledge areas that we discussed earlier. So there are 10 knowledge areas, that is integration, project management, project integration management, scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders management. So there are 10 knowledge areas and there are 47 processes mapped to all those 5 domains that we saw in the previous slide. How they are structured, how they are grouped, how they are related to each other, let us understand that. Okay, so I will now take you to the PMBOK guide, and give me just a minute to share the PMBOK guide. So this is your PMBOK guide, and someone asked a question. Okay, give it a few seconds to come up on your screen. So someone asked a question, will I get a free copy of PMBOK guide? Okay, I will show you something here. When you become a member or when you apply for the PMP examination, you are going to receive your personalized copy of PMBOK guide. For example, this is licensed to me. I need to use a password that password that I created on PMI website to open this PMBOK guide. This is assigned to me. So when you enroll for the examination or when you apply for the PMI membership, you are going to get your own personalized copy of PMBOK guide. No one is allowed to redistribute the soft copy of this PMBOK guide. Okay, I hope that clarifies, and we will quickly go to section where we can see how all these processes are mapped to each other. So you can make a note of all these page numbers that I'm typing here. Okay, I will go to page number 61. So you can make a note of this page number 61 in the soft copy of PMBOK guide. So this page or this has a very, very important table. I would sincerely suggest that you take a printout of this page and put it in front of your desk. Put it at a place where you sit, and you must keep this in front of your eyes always. So this table shows you how these processes are mapped to these knowledge areas and the process groups. We are going to do a very quick review of all these 47 processes in some time from now. Okay. Samson has a question. So based on what you are showing on the screen, is it fair to say that if we miss the exam before January 11 and taking it in middle or end of January, it won't be so different and not to pass it? Yes, you won't find it very, you won't find it, you won't find too many differences there. And whatever the differences are, we will help you. We will help you, uh, refresh your knowledge. We will also have free sessions and specific sessions for our esteemed customer, educating them about the change so that they can go for this. And also the new recording, the courses that we are going to start from mid-November based on the new updated content, you will get access to the recording of those sessions as well. So you need not to worry about it. Okay, so I'll go back to, uh, okay, there is a question again. So mean to say it will become harder or on a different pattern. Mukesh, PMI does this role development study from time to time. So these changes are not to make the examination harder or not to make it simpler, but based on the trends, market standards, the changing dynamics of the industry and the project management, they keep it aligned to the prevalent trends of the industry, prevalent trends at the global level. So the objective is not to make it difficult or to easier, but to bring it in alignment with what is being followed. For example, until some time back, before 2008 or 9, social media was not there. The way organization used to communicate was not there, but now social media has become an important part of it. So you will see, when you read that, you will see that the channel of communication or the tools of communication, you will say find some differences in that. Another thing is, for example, lessons learned. Earlier, if you attended the training session, you must have learned that lesson learned is an activity which is done during the and or the closing process group, where you document your lessons learned when you conclude or complete your project. But now lessons learned is something that will be used across all the processes during each stage. No one, what PMI suggests is that you should not wait to complete your entire project to document the lessons learned. You must document that as and when needed. So this is a type of change that PMI has incorporated. Okay, so it's not difficult, or it's not, I'll not say it has become easier also, just to align it to the standards or the current dynamics of the industry. Okay, I hope your question is answered. And with this, we move back to our slide deck and let's start understanding there. So to make things easier for you, or for the easy understanding of the entire 5 process group here, I take the help of Deming cycle and see how these PM processes are mapped. I'm sure everyone must have heard of this PDCA, plan, do, check, act. Everyone, irrespective of the industry or the company where you work in, you must have seen or you must have heard about this PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. Whatever is needed to be done, you will have to plan. You'll have to plan your activities, and once you have planned it, then you start doing it. Okay, whatever task or work you have planned, you will start doing that work. And when you do that work, you will have some work results. You will have the outcome of that. You will check that, you will compare that with what you had planned. You'll do the variance analysis, and based on the outcome of your variance analysis, you will act on that. You will decide, you will take a call whether to go ahead with this, or we need to replan certain things, or we need to do some changes there. Okay, so based on your outcome of this act, you will probably, if needed, you will replan, and you'll keep repeating this cycle. So that is a very simple definition of the PDA cycle. And now let us understand how our 5 process groups are connected or mapped to each other. So I have made some small modifications, some slight changes here to make it very clear to you. What I did is I added 2 boxes here. One is change and second is close. Okay, and in this part you will also see the different processes here. So the process that you see here are coming from a knowledge area called as project integration management. Project integration management is a very high level knowledge area which consists of all the processes which are needed to manage the entire project. Okay. So in the later slide, you'll get to know some other details as well. So if you pay attention to this, it is not much different from that PDCA. So plan is where we develop our project management plan. We work on all the elements of the project. We plan our scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication. We list down all the activities. We make our schedule. We make our budget, and then we start doing the work in executing process group. Direct and manage project work is a process in executing process group. Okay. Where project manager will lead and manage the work, will lead the team, and the team will start doing the work as per the plan. And when they do the work, they will have the work result, which will be taken to monitor and control project work process, where you will check and compare your results. You will compare that with what you had planned, and then take a call, and you will act on that. So this will become a decision point for the PM project manager and the team, whether this work is as per plan or we need to bring in some changes. We need to take some corrective or preventive actions. For example, you have to develop one application. I'll give an example of the application. You have to develop an application which must function in certain way, or which must have a specific behavior, and it should give you certain results. So once that is developed, your team is going to review that. You'll do the testing, and when you have the test results, you will observe and analyze whether the results are as per expectation or as per the guidance given or not, as per plan or not, whether the work was done on time or not. It's not only the result, you will also look at other factors, whether it was done not on time or not, whether we used the given amount of budget or not, or did we exceed the budget or not. Okay. If you feel that the work results are absolutely fine, but the activity was delayed, why it was delayed? Maybe the resources were not adequate. So at that time you realize that there was an attrition, some people left the organization. So you need to increase the workforce. You need to add probably 1 or 2 resources which you will keep on bench for the any eventuality in the future. But this is something that you, project manager or the team, cannot decide at their own. They will have to create a change request where they will document the reasons for the change, why they are requesting a change, what will happen if they don't make the implement this change. So you are taking a probably a corrective action that it should not happen in the future, or this might be a corrective action in case if the results are not proper in place. Okay, that some of the resources are not performing properly, so let's change them. So that request will go to change control board. Change control board will review that in integrated change control process, and based on the factors and the elements and the associated information and the analysis done by the team and the PM, change control board will decide whether we should approve or reject. If the request is rejected, then nothing will happen. And if the request is approved, then the plan will be updated, and that changes will be implemented in the direct and managed project work. If at this decision point the team and the PM decides and find out that it is exactly as per plan, it will go to your the cycle will keep on going until and unless all the work is completed, and then finally it will go to your closed project or phase process. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone, and there are some questions here. Let me just go through these questions here. Ines has a question. Do you think study could take 4 to 5 days or less from now? Ines, I'm sorry, maybe you can connect with me offline and I'll be able to guide you, because unless I understand what level of understanding you have, I really cannot say that you should be able to finish this in 45 days time or less or more. I will tell you from my experience. uh, I studied for the PMP examination just for 6 days. Believe me or not, I studied only for 6 days, but those 6 days I was completely into my studies. And at end of 6th day, 7th day, I went for the examination, and I was able to clear that. Anil, I understand, you're not able to believe me, but that is how I did. I was working with the Hewlett Packard at that time, and I had taken the examination leave, and I was in complete isolation, and that is how I prepared. I've seen people who spend 3 or 4 or 5 months time also, they study for it, and still they fail. Uh, if I give you an example, if I talk about the statistics here, on an average, approximately 8,000 to 9,000 people appear for the PMP examination only in India, and only 50 to 55% people are able to clear that in first attempt. Okay, so this number again is not a very authenticated information. This is something that I pulled out from some sources, but this is actually, to an extent, it is true. Pass percentage is something very true. So you really have to focus on that. And fortunately, all those people whom I have trained, they have been able to clear that. Majority of them have been able to clear that in first attempt. Until some time back, this score was exact 100%, but then again, it all depends from individual to individual. So the strategy is very important. The right strategy is very important. The technique is very important, and also aligning yourself with the way PMI thinks is very, very important. So remember that first topic, first header in that tips and tricks to clear the examination, PMIism. Align yourself with the PMBOK guide, and you'll be able to crack that. Okay. So there is a question from Samson. Uh, shouldn't that close box be under the change box, since project should close after all the changes taken place? What do you think, Samson? No, because I am talking about this decision point, and you do not know whether this change is a corrective action or a preventive action. Okay, if it is a corrective action, then again you will have to implement the changes in direct and managed project work. After you redo the work, you will have to recheck it, and you will have to revisit the results, and then only you will be able to decide whether it should go to close, or it should be completed, or you need to bring in some more changes, or you need to do some more work. So it will not under change, or it will not be connected to the change. I hope I was able to answer your clarify your doubt. Ravi has a question. Role of delineation study process is required for exam before Gen. Yes, you need to do that. RDS is very, very important. You must go through that. But again, if you are taking this examination before January, you need not to worry about that. In case if you're going after January, then you need to go through this RDS process. Okay. Uh, Sonal has a question. Is change control board is specific to the project? Again, your enterprise environmental factor, how your organization is structured, is something that will be the answer to this question. Okay. For as per the PMI, as per the PMBOK guide, there must be a clearly defined change control board for each and every project. Now, it may happen that that change control board is actually playing that role for multiple projects. There is nothing wrong in that, but you must specify it discreetly for each and every project. Okay. Bhargav Pandey has a question. Why a link from change to D? Because once the changes are approved, you will implement those changes in direct and managed project work. Okay, you can read this process, and you'll see that approved changes are one of the important direct and managed project work. So for example, if you are taking a preventive action, okay, you developed an application, and when you were at a decision point, when you're doing this variance analysis, you realize that all the results are fine, but the work has delayed. So you will ensure that you take appropriate actions. You submit a request to the change control board that maybe we need to change the resources, or maybe this work is being done by some third party, some outsourced partner, and we need to change our partner. So you'll reach out to the change control board, the request will get approved, and then once it is approved, you will update your plan, and you will ensure that the next piece of work which you need to outsource, that is going to the new partner or the new vendor. So that is implementing the changes, and that is why there is a direct link from change to do. Okay, I hope this is clear. And then there is a question, what is the ideal score for mock test? Vamsi, as I mentioned you earlier, you should target to score 90% or above in the mock test. Okay. Deepak Tiwari has a question, do we need to remember all 47 processes in all ITTOs? Well, you need not to memorize all those 47 processes in ITTOs, but you must become familiar with everything, and you must also understand what role each and every process plays in the entire project management cycle. Okay. And Bhargav is saying, I hope all the changes need to go to CCB and after approval needed to be implemented. Yes, in a real life situation, that may or may not happen. If I talk from my personal experience, it's very, very difficult in certain situation or certain project. But that is the place, that is the area where your organizations have felt the need of having that process which is based on some standards. And PMBOK guide says no changes must go or must be implemented without obtaining approval from change control board. Vamsi, okay, so Vamsi has a very interesting question. How much do you know? How much, I mean, out of 47 processes and ITTOs, how much do I know? Vamsi, I've been a trainer and I've been training this project management for past several years. Of course, when you teach so much, everything comes on your fingertips. But again, every time I read PMBOK guide, I feel that, I get to know something different. Okay. And Anil, thanks a lot for your appreciation. And NS is saying I study 4 hours almost every day. You can reach out to me. I will share my email addresses, or you can connect with me. You can drop me a mail at sales@edureka.co also. That will also come to me, and I will help you understand and answer all the questions that you may have or any difficulties that you're facing here. Okay. Deepak is asking what is the success rate based on the time taken to prepare. Deepak, unfortunately, there is no authenticated data for that, because no one really can will come and tell you that, I studied for 2 months, I studied for 3 months, I studied for 1 week. Again, it depends on your understanding, individual capability and understanding of the subject. Okay. Mrs. Sampson is saying you're absolutely correct. Okay, okay, fine. So he's saying that, a person attended the training for 4 days and fifth day he took the examination and cleared that. Yes, that is possible. Okay, so let me just go through the questions. Vamsi, I would suggest you go through my other webinars you'll get the answer to your question. Okay, so there is a question from Pawan. Can project manager be the authority for approving changes? Very, very important question, and all of you please pay attention to this question. He's asking, can project manager be the authority for approving changes? Absolutely no, never. Project manager must never be a part of this authority which is going to review and approve or reject the changes, because project manager, if project manager has authority, then the decisions can be biased. So project manager must never be the part of that authority to approve change. Okay. Prasad has a question. Change control will change project timeline and scope creep. Yes, change control will, no, change control will not do that. But change control will ensure that before you implement any changes, you have considered the impact of the change, or you have analyzed the impact of the change on all other competing factors. If you refer to that PM triangle, if you refer to that constraints of the project management: scope, time, cost, quality, risk, and resources and budget. Okay, uh, these are the constraints. If you change scope a bit, it may impact your timeline, it may impact your cost, it may impact your quality, it may impact any one of the element or all of the element. Okay, so uh, you know, before the request goes to change control board, project team must ensure that the impact of that change has been analyzed thoroughly. Okay, I hope I answered your question. And there is a question from Samson. uh, uh, Not a problem, Samson, I understand you have a lot of doubts here. Okay, I understand there are a lot of questions here, and it becomes really become difficult to deviate from these questions, but that's why I'm skipping questions and focusing only on the new one. Give me just one more minute and I'll move on to the new questions. Okay. So the next topic. There is a question from Bhargav. What about the changes which does not change schedule or cost? Any change, even if it does not impact your schedule or cost, even if it has no impact on any other project constraint or competing factor, even then it must go through change control process. Okay. Madhav, project manager can be a part of change control board, yes, but it will never be a part of that authority which approve or reject the changes. Okay. Okay, then let me just move on. Abhimanyu, I'm sorry, I will answer. I'll ensure that the team reaches out to you to answer your question, that how you'll get the help and support there. Okay, and I'm sorry, Sudhakar, I'm skipping your question right now. Please go through my webinar. And Alaba Abuno has a question. Did you read only PMBOK for 6 days? Yes, Alaba, I ensure that I am reading this PMBOK guide cover to cover, and I emphasized a lot on the mock questions. I took more than 1100 questions and PMBOK guide, and I was able to throw. Okay. Okay, so let me just type in my email address because a lot of people have asked for that. Okay, so I have sent my email address. You can make a note of this and you can uh, reach out to me for any question. So let me move. I'm sorry, I'm skipping some questions here. Again, I'm reiterating, please go through the other webinars which you'll receive tomorrow. So the next topic, let's quickly move to the next topic here, which is overview of the PMBOK guide. Now we are going to understand the logical flow of all these 47 processes. The slide that you're going to see may not cover all the 47 processes, but it will give you a very good idea of how these processes and the different domains interact with each other. So let us understand that. And I'm starting from here, where your first process is develop project charter. Your project charter is released, and the project charter is the very first process in any project. So the project charter will kickstart the project in any organization. Project charter will authorize the project manager to utilize the resources of the organization for delivery, successful completion of the project. And important point to remember here is project charter is always and always released and approved by project sponsor. Project manager can be a contributor. Project manager can provide information, can develop the charter, but it is a sponsor who is going to approve the project charter. Okay, once the project charter is developed. Okay, so just one more point here. Project charter will also set the boundaries for the project. It will set the tone, it will set the guidelines for the project team, that what are the high level scope, what are the high level deliverables, what are the high level timelines, what is a high level budget, or is there any guidance for the project, who are the key stakeholder, who are the people who will provide you the different approval. Okay, all this information will be there in your project charter. Once a charter is signed off by a sponsor and released, then the next activity start, where project manager will start working on developing the plan. So project manager will take the help of uh, project team in developing that all the subsidiary or all the elements of the subsidiary elements of the project management plan. That would include your change management plan, your cost baseline, requirements management plan, schedule baseline, configuration management plan, scope baseline, scope management plan, quality management plan, cost management plan, process improvement plan, HR plan, procurement plan, communication plan, risk management plan. All these associate subsidiary project management plan will be developed. Once you have developed all these components of the project management plan, then we are going to consolidate everything in this process, which is called as develop project management plan. Okay. Develop project management is a plan is a process where we will integrate all the subsidiary elements of the project and come up with our project management plan. So that project management plan is going to be your Bible. That project management plan will be used throughout the project during your direct and managed project work. So after you have developed the plan, you are now ready to move into executing stage. And the execution is done in direct and managed project work. So direct and managed project work is a process where project manager will lead the project team, give the direction to the team, and team will start delivering the work results. Team will start doing the work. As and when the team does the work, you will also get the work results, okay, which is called as deliverables. So the output of this process is there are multiple outputs, but we are going to talk about only two important outputs here: deliverables and work performance data. So suppose you completed one particular component or the section of the project, and it took 7 days to complete, and the cost of doing that work, the actual cost is $200. Okay, so 7 days is the time taken, and $200 is the cost of that, along with the that element that you have completed. Okay, so you will have deliverables, which is a work done, actual product delivered, and you will have the associate information, that is your 7 days and $200. This information then will go to these control processes. Okay, each of these deliverable and the work performance data will be taken to the respective control process. For example, you will go to control scope process. So in control scope, you will see by this time, in 7 days of time, what were the tasks you were supposed to complete. Have you completed that or not? Okay, the functionalities that you wanted to have in that application or the component, uh, that is there, but is it done on time or not, whether the required scope was achieved or not. Control schedule, you will see whether it was done in time or not. Okay, we will do a variance analysis. So for example, in control schedule, you will look into the plan, and the plan says this particular part of work should have taken 5 days time. The planned duration for that work is 5 days, but the actual time taken to develop that is 7 days. So you will do a variance analysis there. You will also do this variance analysis for the cost. You will compare the actual cost $200 with what was planned. Let's assume that it was supposed to be done in say $175. So the planned cost for this piece of work was $175, and the actual cost is $200. You will also look into the quality parameters. So what were the quality expectations? What were the quality requirements, for example? Okay, so suppose that is an application, that's a component which is done for user the authentication or verify the login credentials. So the one of the quality requirement was, customer said that the authentication should not take more than 4 seconds. Within 4 seconds time, this application should give you the result on the screen whether your login ID and password is correct or not. Okay, so you completed this your scope. There is no variance in the scope, there is no variance in the schedule, there is no variance in the cost. Does not mean that you have successfully completed that. If that validation is taking 7 seconds time, it means the performance of that application is not as per expectation. So there are some variance in quality issues. Control communication, is the right communication going to the right stakeholder on time? Are you distributing the correct information in time, in the right format? Risk, you will also have to do the you'll also have to look into the risk, whether all the risks that you had identified, are they are you encountering any risk situation? Are you in a risk situation? You will probably do some trend analysis, and you'll find out the results. Are they indicating that we may head towards a risk situation in future? So you will do the risk audit. You will identify what are the threats to this project, and here you will check whether you are facing those threats or not. You will also see, based on the current results, is there any possibility that we are going to face some challenge in future or not. You will do the control procurement. So in case if that work was done by some outsource vendor, third party vendor, or you some external partner, then you will check whether the work by the partner is being done as per the plan or not, whether they are fulfilling all the terms and conditions of the contract or not. You will do the control stakeholder process, where you will check the expectation of all the stakeholders are being managed or not. Okay, because different stakeholder will have different expectation. Any person who is involved in the project is a stakeholder. Who has a say in the project is a stakeholder. Your sponsor, your client organization, let's say the senior vice president of the customer organization, your client manager, your quality manager, your compliance manager, your finance manager, if they have a role to play in the project, they all are stakeholder. So you will have to keep checking from time to time whether the expectations are being met or not. Okay, managing the stakeholder or managing the expectation of the stakeholder must be considered as one of the prime objective of the project. Imagine a situation: you were the project manager of a project which you completed very successfully within scope, time and cost and quality, and your vice president goes out for a dinner with the vice president of the client organization, and they are discussing about the strategic alignment and all these things, and that senior person from the customer organization passes one comment: I am happy that your organization completed the project well in time, but I am not at all happy the way this project was managed. I am not happy with the way I was getting the report. So it gave me goosebumps from time to time. So I'm really not very happy. So that situation will be alarming for you, Vice President. So what he will ensure is that you are not a part of the next project. You will be probably off from the next project. So that's why managing the expectation of the stakeholder is very important. So you will have to check from time to time whether the expectations of the stakeholders are being managed or not. So there are a lot of questions coming up here. I'm sorry, I will complete this and then I'll get back to the questions here because I don't want to break the rhythm. And once you have done all these control processes, so each process is going to give you the work performance information. Remember these terms: work performance data and work performance information. Work performance data is the raw data associated with the deliverables, like the task or this deliverable took 7 days to complete and $200 to you spend $200 in that. When you compare with what you had planned, then you get to know that there is a variance of 2 days. You are behind schedule by 2 days. So WPI or work performance information will say there is a negative variance of 2 days and you are overspending. It is over budget by $25. So this way you will get the work performance information from all the uh, one second. You'll get this work performance information from all the control processes, and then that will be taken to monitor and control project work process. So what we were doing so far is we were comparing the work performance data for each and every respective element of the project. And now we are going to consolidate everything and we will see how that variance, negative or positive, affects our overall project. Okay, for example, if there is a negative variance of 2 days which you get from control schedule process, how this variance of 2 days is going to impact your overall project, how your future deliverables will be impacted. You'll do the forecasting there, and what impact it will have on our risk, on our cost, on our quality. So monitor and control project work is a process where you will see how this variance in one element of the project can impact your other elements of the project. Okay, you will consolidate the data and you will prepare all the project dashboard and the project reports. While working on this, the outcome of this monitoring control project work will be recorded, documented. You will document your project process update against the baseline which are a part of your project management plan. You will also prepare your work performance reports. So remember these three terms you must remember for the examination. Work performance data is a raw data, work performance information is a analyzed data, and work performance reports is a electronically published data. Consolidation of the data. So you must have heard about those graph and charts and curves, that okay, this is the S curve, this is how the project line is going up. That is a work performance report. Okay, so this information, work performance information, will be pioneer in preparing that report and project dashboard. Now we talked about these variances, so that means the way project is going is not correct. Okay, so there is a point from once again, Natasha, please repeat once more. Can you please be specific, Natasha, which point you want me to repeat? Okay, work performance reports. Fantastic, fine. So, okay, I'll stick to the same example. I was, let's say I am the project manager. I was supposed to complete some amount of work in 7 days time, in 5 days time, but I took 7 days time. So there is a negative variance of 2 days. Now I need to see how this negative variance of 2 days impacts my overall project. What impact of this my negative variance will have on my cost, on my quality, on my scope, on the expectation of the stakeholder. Are they happy or not? So based on that, I'm going to prepare my project dashboard. I may prepare my project graph. I may prepare a project S curve, a progress curve. So which will say that okay, so far we have encountered this delay. Because of the delay, we actually had to deviate or we had to take some corrective actions, which will result in additional cost. Okay, so work performance reports or project dashboard gives you the information how the overall project is progressing. Work performance information is just telling me you are behind schedule by 2 days or you are overspending by $25. But work performance reports will tell me how my overall project is progressing and what will be the expectation for the future. I hope this clarifies, Natasha. And there's a question from Deepak, work performance report. Can it be a physical report like paper-based report? Yes, it is. It can be a physical report or it can be electronically published report as well. Okay, so let me just quickly complete this chart here, and then I'll come back to all the questions and I'll answer all the questions here. So when we notice this deviation, when we notice this negative variance here, it means we need to take some actions. We cannot let the project go as it is. We must do something to bring this project on track. So we will identify the reasons, the factors which are causing this, influencing these changes, and then we are going to raise a change request. We will identify the factors influencing or causing this deviation, and then we will raise a change request to take corrective or preventive actions. Okay, this change request may come from the customer as well. This change request may come from the project team as well. This may be based on the outcome or the result as well. So all the change requests, no matter how small or insignificant it looks, but it must be documented, analyzed along with the associated data that what is the need for this change, what will be the impact of this change if we do it, what will be the impact if we don't do it, and if we implement the change, what will be the impact on other project constraints. With all this information, it will go to change control board in integrated change control process, where they will look into the request and they will approve or reject it. Okay, once the change request is approved, it will be updated in the plan and you will implement those changes or corrective action or preventive actions in a direct and managed project work process. Okay, and this change request may come from these control processes or it may come from monitoring control project work also. Okay, depending, sometime your work performance information may show that there is no variance right now. There is absolutely no variance. We are exactly as per plan. We are doing the work on time. We are spending adequate amount of money. We don't have any issues with the quality. Everything is going fine. But during this review meeting, monitor and control project work, where you are looking at all the data and the future expectation from the project. Team identifies certain risks that if we do not take any preventive action, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks down the line, we may deviate, our project may deviate. Then what will happen is they will immediately take a preventive action, and they will raise a change request that we need to take the certain actions, otherwise we will not be, there would be some negative variance in future. That stage also you can raise a change request, and it will again will go through the process, and if approved, it will be implemented there. Okay, so this cycle will be repeated until all the project deliverables are completed, and you keep on doing this cycle on a periodical basis and for all the deliverables. And once everything is completed, then you will move to the closed project or phase process. So in closed project or phase process, what we'll do is we'll understand what was the plan, what has been delivered, how it was delivered. We'll also look at all the terms and conditions and the clauses, and we will also resolve any dispute if there is any. So we will ensure that the objective for which the project was undertaken are fulfilled for customer and for the performing organization, and then we will close it, and we will document our lessons learned, and we will formally terminate the contract. We will notify our customer, and we will do the process of closing. So this is the logical sequence at a very high level. And please remember this in mind. This will be very important, crucial for you to succeed in PMP examination in the first attempt. And with this, allow me to take a very quick 2 minutes bio break, and once I'm back, I'm going to answer all your questions. Please bear with me for this break. I have been talking non-stop for past 2 hours, and I really need 2 minutes break. Please stay on, hang on with all your questions. You can use this time to type in your questions, and I'll be there with you in 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay, and I'm back. So I hope you all also got a chance to refresh and re-energize. And once you confirm everyone is here, just give me a confirmation. You can see me, you can hear me loud and clear, and then we'll start. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And let me just go through the questions now. There are a lot of questions. I hope I'll be able to answer all those questions. Okay, so I'll start from here. Okay, so Abhishek has a question. Okay, Alaba has a question. Which is the best mock question to use? Alaba, there is no specific mock question. All the questions are good. The questions that you get on Edureka or a very high quality, and set your standard, raise the bar very high, you will be able to clear the examination, because a lot of people have succeeded, as I told you, 97% of the people. So mock questions are good. You really have to ensure that they are latest, they are most updated, and the difficulty level is good enough. They should not be easy. So, Catherine, it's $555 for the PMP examination, but please go through the webinar that you're going to receive. Abhishek has a question: how to read PMBOK, end to end or just like novel? Well, I would suggest that you first is you go through, you do through the reading, and first is, having just a becoming familiar with that. You need not to go into very deep or very detailed, but what I suggest is you do the one reading end to end, and then you start doing the mock questions. And when you do the mock questions, when you get the result of it, then you will know where you have performed well, where you are not able to perform, and then identify that question, find out this belongs to which section in the PMBOK guide, and then read it very carefully. Okay. And Vivek okay, sorry, Ekank has a question. Any quick reference guide for formulas or mind maps? Yes, we have this quick reference guide in our LMS. So if you have enrolled for the examination, if you are enrolled for the PMP exam preparing training course at Edureka, you will get access to that quick reference guide, which has a quick snapshot of all the 47 processes, all the important formulas, definition, and also the acronyms. And there is a question from Vamsi. He has left, but still let me answer this question. Does this 47 process includes new task added for January 2016? Well, the new course will be in place by mid-November, because still we are getting a lot of requests from the people who want to take the examination in December. December is generally considered as a low, the lean phase from the industry per se, because of the vacation time, and a lot of people are planning to do the examination at that time. So we will, once we come up with a new course, we will have both the versions available. Depending on your preference, you can go for it. And then there's a question about Deepak. Okay, so Pawan is asking a question: are stakeholders part of charter? Only the key stakeholder, only those decision-making people at the decision-making level. Let's say your vice president, your senior management, your board of director, all those kind of people. And once the charter is released, then you will start building your team. Okay, Deepak has a question: how about team members? Deepak, I'm sorry, I'm not very clear with the question. If you can put that again, I'll be able to answer that. And uh, okay, okay, so let me just go through other questions now. Okay, Hari is asking question: shouldn't the work performance information come under monitor and control? No, this work performance information is coming from all these respective control processes. What you get under monitoring control project work, or what is the output of the monitor and control project work, is a work performance report. As I told you, the work performance information is giving you the analysis, or giving you the output of the variance analysis, that how that particular element of the project is performing. And work performance report will give you how your overall project is performing. Okay, that's why it must not be there, and it is not there in the PMBOK guide also. Next question is from Madhav. Okay, thanks Madhav. It's not a question, it's a comment. Thanks a lot. You like this diagram. You will get a copy of this tomorrow. Kiran Kumar says we have to close the procurement before closing the project. Yes, absolutely correct. You cannot close your project unless all the elements are closed properly. Anil is asking, once I start studying and have very queries, any queries, where and how can I have them clarified? You can drop in a mail at drop in a mail to support@edureka.co, and within a stipulated time frame, all your queries will be answered. So Rahul is asking question: what are the examples of risks that can be faced? Are they technical or non-technical? Rahul, very good question and very important point also. Risk is beyond boundaries. When we talk about the project, I consider project management, I consider the risk to be the most difficult one, because for scope, time, cost, quality, and other areas, you have the boundaries set. But risk is beyond boundaries. It can come from anywhere. Let's say your project is fine, everything is fine, but tomorrow there is a general strike in the city where you are placed, or there is a flood situation. Met department has predicted heavy rain, and they have said that people, you should not go out on the road. So for 3-4 days that city is completely in a shutdown mode. Now that is a risk, isn't it? They have announced it a week in advance that we may face that typhoon or cyclone next week. Now that is a risk coming to you. So you need to plan for that. It can come from any nooks and corner of the world, and you need to have some backup plan or some strategy in place to handle those situations. There's a question from Sonal. Sonal is asking, when is scope validation done? Sonal, scope control and scope validation, control scope and scope validation are two processes falling in monitoring and controlling process group for scope management. Control scope is a process which is done by performed by the project team members to review the progress internally. Once that particular deliverable is complete, it will go to a process called control quality. In control quality, that quality team will do the inspection whether it fulfills all the requirement and it is as per plan or not. Once the internal team does the review, then that deliverable will called as verified or validated deliverable. Okay, and it will go to your scope validation process, and in scope validation process these completed deliverables are presented to the key stakeholders. It can be your customer, or sometimes it can be the project manager as well, or the person who has authority to say or accept the deliverable. And once that person says yes, the work that you have done is completed, is fine, fulfills my requirement, that will be considered as a approved deliverable. Okay, I'll give you a simple example. Okay, you go to a restaurant and you order some soup, some dish. Okay, so that requirement goes to the kitchen. They will prepare the soup based on your requirement. You ask them to make some type of soup, let's say a thick soup or thin soup or spicy soup, and it must be served hot, and it comes to you. So before it comes to you, the chef in the kitchen will taste it. So internal team is testing that and will say, yes, this is fine. It looks really fine to me, tastes good to me. And then it will be served to the guest. It will be served to you. You will have the first sip, and then you will, if you're not happy, you will inform the waiter and the manager that no, this soup is not as per my requirement. I reject it. Do not bill me for that. So either you redo the work or don't charge me for that. You know, it may happen that you say, okay, fine, ma'am, I'm so sorry for that. You have rejected it. We will give us 10 minutes. We'll redo it and we'll give it to you. And they take it internally in the kitchen. They redo it, serve it to you. So there was a validation done by the internal team. There were a check done by internal team, and then only it was presented to the stakeholder who has the final authority to accept or reject the deliverable. That is done in your scope validation process. Okay, I hope it is clear now. And Febin has a question. Nishant, I joined it. Okay, Febin, yes, you will get a recording and slides of this presentation and the webinar. You need not to worry on that. Okay, Abhishek, you what you can do is you can connect with me. Abhishek is saying that I'm not very good at reading. Okay, so you contact me offline and I'll be able to help you with that. Sonal is asking a question, when is integrated change control process performed? Integrated change control process will be performed or followed upon as and when needed. Okay, if there is a very unique and rare situation that there is no change in the project, it may also happen that you will never have to follow the process, but change is the only constant in our life. So whenever needed, you will perform that. There may not be any fixed frequency of that. Okay, but if you're expecting a lot of changes, then you may also create a process, change control process, that every particular day on a periodical basis your change review board, change control board will meet and see what all has been requested. And there is a question from Febin Raju again. Once we have identified all the stakeholder and completed initiating phase, which is the next immediate process? Is it develop PM or plan or scope management, or do we do collect requirement? Febin, PMI does not give any guidance or guideline that this is a sequence that you need to follow. You need to develop, or these different subsidiary plans will be developed concurrently. For example, scope, time and cost, and to an extent quality also, or sometime HR also. You will do some part of the scope baseline scoping, then you will do some part of your scheduling, you will do some part of your costing, because you need to strike a right balance. If you, let's say for example, if you take all the resources which are highly experienced and expensive, then that cost may go out of budget. The estimate may go out of budget, the guidance set in the project charter. What you will do is you will try to use low cost resources which are probably freshers or inexperienced. If you use them, it will impact your timelines. So you may have to go and make some adjustments there. So you will have to strike the balance, and that's why these processes will be followed concurrently, parallelly in a project. PMI does not gives you any guidance that this is a process which you have to do right after that. Remember, it is a collection of the standards and the best practices. So as a project manager, you have all these options available, and you need to pick and choose the right flow for your project. Okay. And okay, so other questions. Okay, Catherine is asking, why don't we go on with the topics? I'm sorry, Catherine. I'm sorry. If I just wait for all the topics to get over, then there would be several hundreds of questions, and I'll not be able to even review or go back through them. Give me just few more minutes, and I'll be moving to the topics again. Okay. And Sandeep is asking, is it okay to take reference of any additional book like head first after we finish PMBOK? Yes, any additional reading material is good. You can go through anything. So Mohammed Muzaffar has a question. I have a question on communication channels. Okay, please send the mail. And okay, and there are other questions which I'm skipping right now. And there's a question from Mukesh. Are these classes during the week and the morning? Okay, Mukesh, I'll ask the sales team to get in touch with you, and you'll get clarity on that. Thanks a lot, Chandrasekhar, for your appreciation. Okay, fine. So with this, I hope I have answered all the important questions, and other questions you can go through my webinar. And with this, we move on to the next, we now move to the PMBOK guide. So we cannot conclude this session without going through the PMBOK guide. So let me just change the screen, and now I'll take you through this guide here. Okay. So talking about the PMBOK guide, as I told you, it is divided into three sections. First is your project organization and the factors influencing the project, the structure, and process information. Second is your 5 domains or 5 project management process groups, and third is all these 47 processes. Okay, so this is the PMBOK guide, and it has close to 586 or 590 pages, which you need to cover end to end. Okay, if I take you through this index here, you can clearly see that. Okay, so there is one more angle here which you must pay attention to. In From chapter number 4, all these knowledge areas start. So before this, you have project life cycle and the project structure and the framework, project management framework. From chapter number 4, project integration management, these knowledge areas start, and it will go on till your last knowledge area, that is project stakeholders management. After project stakeholder management gets over, you have this section where we talk about the standards for project management of a project. Okay, you must go through this section as well. Why? I will tell you that. So let me go to page number 61 of PMBOK guide. You can make a note of this page here, where you will get to see this mapping here. Okay, so if you see here, they have 5 domains and 10 knowledge areas here. And the first section where we cover all these knowledge areas. So PMBOK guide is structured knowledge area wise in that section. So they talk about project integration management, and they will cover all these processes there. Develop project charter, then develop project management plan, then direct and manage project work, and then monitor and control project work, and integrated change control process, and then it will go to closer phase. Then you move to project scope management, where we talk about all these processes in the scope, and then we go to the cover the processes falling in monitoring and controlling group, and so on. When you go to the next section with the standards for the management of a project management of a project, there you will see they have covered this process group wise. Okay, and that is starting from page number 400 and probably 21, I think. Yes, that is starting from page number 421. So if you go to page 425, you will see here it talks about initiating process group. So all the processes which are following in project initiating process group will be covered in this section. Then I go to page 428, where it talks about all the processes which are following in project in the planning process group and so on. Okay, and I'll also take you through the other sections 445, which will talk about all the processes falling into execution, that is direct and managed project work and the associate processes in executing process group. So you must read through it in both the flows. One is knowledge area wise and second is process group wise. That is extremely important. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will go to this page here and I'll quickly take you through all this process here. So we are going to talk about these processes in process group wise. So the very first process, as I told you, in any project, see here there cannot be any deviation. The first process in the project have to be develop project charter, because develop project charter is a process where uh, once it is released, your project manager will have authority to kickstart the project and utilize the resources of the organization. And project charter will contain high level scope, high level boundaries, high level risk, a list of all the high level stakeholder people who are coming from the senior management or the leadership team or the very senior people of the customer organization, who will hold the key decision making power in their hands. Okay, and it will also talk about high level constraints, high level assumptions. Once the charter is released, then we move on to the next process here. Let me just go to that page so you get a understanding of that. Sorry, yeah, let me cover this one. Yeah, so once the project charter is developed, then the next process ideally should be identify stakeholder. Okay. Again, it is you may find it contradictory with my previous statement that there is no sequence defined, but there is a logical sequence at certain places which you need to follow. The next process which you must follow after develop project charter is identify the stakeholder. Now, stakeholder, as I told you, any person who has any stake or any influence in the project, who can get impacted by the outcome of the project, be it negative or positive, is a stakeholder. Your team is team members are stakeholders. Your customer is a stakeholder. Your vendors are the stakeholder. Okay. Your leadership team also can be a stakeholder. Okay. So you need to make a comprehensive list of all the stakeholder. But remember, it's not a one-time process. It's not something you will do it only once and then you will not touch it. No, you will keep reviewing it from time to time, because people may change, your team may expand, your stakeholders may change, the role may remain same, but the people working or taking that role may change. And when you go to the senior positions, when you look at the senior stakeholder, their individual personality will have a significant impact on your project. So you must keep updating and refreshing your stakeholder register from time to time, so that you can keep your project outcome aligned to the expectations of those stakeholders. And this will also ensure that the right information is reaching to the right stakeholder at the right time. The stakeholder register will be very, very important for the effective communication. And remember, as a project manager, you are supposed to spend around 70 to 80% of your time in communicating. There was a time when I was not a project manager. I was just a team member. And I always used to think that, see, I'm doing all the work and this project manager is just sitting in his room using his computer or laptop and doing nothing, and I'm doing all the work. When I became the project manager, I realized the pressure that the project manager was going through, must have been gone through at that time, because team members will have to do certain amount of work. They might be aligned only to the specific or certain element of the work, but project manager will have to oversee everything. Project manager is a captain of the ship. Okay, and it's project manager's responsibility to make sure the expectation of the stakeholders are fulfilled, and that can be done only when you have a crisp and concrete and comprehensive list of all the stakeholders. So once your charter is ready and you have the preliminary list of all the stakeholders, then you move into the planning. And you can see there are a lot of processes here in the planning process group. Let me just reduce it to a certain percentage so you can all see that. So we have processes coming from almost all knowledge areas: your scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication, risk, stakeholder, procurement also. So the first process ideally that you will use is your plan scope management, your plan schedule management, plan cost management, and your plan procurement management, plan quality management, plan HR management, your plan risk management, your plan communication management, and plan stakeholder management. So if you go to this page here, page number 423, the first process for each knowledge area from the planning group is plan scope management, plan procurement management, then plan cost management. So these are the processes where you will not identify the scope. These are the processes where you will not identify the schedule or cost or quality, but these are the processes where you will define your approach, your strategy, that how that particular element of the project will be managed, defined, controlled, delivered, what process you're going to follow, what templates you're going to use, what will be the roles and responsibilities, who will do what. You may not map it to the specific name of the resources, but you will probably assign these roles and responsibility to each stakeholder. For example, in plan scope management, you can write down, you can document that the project manager and project sponsor will jointly review the scope, and then they will submit this for approval to customer, and any changes must go through this sequence. So any changes must be used, any change request must be used, any request for change in scope must have certain documentation or certain process to be followed. All the changes will be first reviewed by the associate project manager. He will ensure that the entire analysis is done, and then it will be submitted to the change control board for review. Okay. It may also tell you how you are going to, or who will have the authority to say that yes, this scope is completed and project is the deliverable is complete. Who will have the authority to approve that deliverable or accept the completed deliverable. Okay. Time management, you will discuss, you'll probably make your strategy that or define the policy that what will be the unit of duration. Are you going to calculate everything, estimate everything in days or in hours or in weeks? Who will have the authority to change? What process you will follow? What templates you're going to use, and so on. Similar way you will have for the cost management. Who are the people who will do the estimation? Which template you're going to use, or which process will be followed, what will be the unit, what will be the currency, what is the forex ratio you're going to set for that if your customer is somewhere in some other country. So you will first take up all this plan scope management, plan schedule management, plan cost management, plan quality management, and plan HR management. These processes, you will define your strategy, you will make the policies, set the guidelines, and then you start working on the different processes. So going back to the planning one, let me just go to page number 428 where we saw the earlier diagram, the process map here. So plan scope management, so once your approach is defined, you will have your requirements and management plan and scope management plan. Based on that, you will start collecting the requirement. You will reach out to all the identified stakeholders, all the keys, all the stakeholders who will be important or who will give you the requirement. You will collect the requirement, you will validate the requirement, and once the requirements are defined, once the requirements are validated, based on that, you will start preparing the scope statement. You will define the scope, that how the scope of the project will, what will be the scope of the product. So output of this defined scope process 5.3 that I'm talking about right now, which I'm highlighting here, is your scope statement. Some people call it preliminary scope statement, but it is actually called as scope statement. So scope statement will have all the key information, the project and product description. It will also have, you know, the boundaries, what are the assumptions you have used to translate this requirement into scope, what are the constraints you have, what are the high level milestones that you have, and what are the high level deliverables you have. Okay, what is in scope, what is out scope, that is very, very important to understand here. Okay, and once your scope statement is ready, you will review it with your customer and the key stakeholder, and based on that you will prepare your work breakdown structure. So work breakdown structure is a hierarchical decomposition of your deliverable into the smallest level possible. And once you have created your work breakdown structure, that will become your scope baseline. Okay, uh, so with this, I'm sorry, I'm not asking any answering to any questions right now, because we, I think, have built that momentum. Let me just complete that and I'll get back to the questions. So, but you please keep writing your questions and I'll go through that. So the other knowledge area is project time management. And once your strategy is, your schedule management plan is ready, you will start working on breaking that WBS of the work package. So the lowest level in the work breakdown structure is work package. Based on that, you will set your activities. You'll identify the activities, that what is needed to be done, what are specific tasks need to be done. You will sequence those activities. You will estimate the resources required for that activity, and you will estimate the durations. So there was a question sometime back, that if there are any server required or any application required, when we will identify that. So this is a process, estimate activity resources, where you will identify what human resources or material resources or the raw material or equipments you require to work on this project. You'll make a list of that, and you will then estimate the duration of each activity. And once you have all this data ready, then you'll finally develop the schedule. So you will have the network diagram. Once you have done the sequencing of the activities, you will now analyze the different factors that can impact your schedule. You will review your critical path. You will do some load balancing. You will do the resource leveling. You will adjust the resources. You will look at the factors which may influence or which may impact the task at that time. What are the factors, what are the situation? You will prepare the worst case scenario and the best case scenarios. Okay, and once you have the timelines and the schedule finalized, you will review it with all the key stakeholders. That may include your customer, your sponsor, or any person who has authority. So all those people will be identified in your schedule management plan in 611, that they are the people who will approve, who will give you the approval, and then schedule baseline can be set. Under plan project cost management, you will again define your approach, make your strategy in a cost management plan. Based on that, whatever activities you have identified here, you will estimate the cost of that based on their resources, based on the duration. You will estimate the cost, and you will top up that cost estimation with some contingency, and you'll do the aggregation and then or all the costs, and then you will be able to see the total monetary requirement for that project. You will then take it to the stakeholder, you'll get their approval, and that will be your cost baseline. Okay. Similarly, you will work on the project quality management, where you will, in plan quality management, you will identify who are the people, what are the teams, what is the process improvement requirement, whether your process is capable of delivering this project or delivering this work with the guidelines, within the guidelines or not. If needed, you will make your process improvement plan. Okay, how the quality will be defined and how the fulfillment of those quality will happen, that will be a part of your plan quality management plan. Okay, you will also make your HR management plan. You will prepare your staffing management plan. You will identify what are the roles and responsibility, what are the different roles needed for this, and you will also define your roles and responsibility, that which role has what I mean, what are the activities for which these different roles are responsible, accountable, to be consulted or to be informed. You will also set your policies for reward and recognition. You will set the guidelines on the working rules, on the shift timings, and all the basic things. You will be working on your risk management plan as well. Risk management is extremely important and crucial. And see, I'm not saying that this topic is important for the examination. This is not. Each and every topic is important, but there are certain topics, certain areas where you need to pay special attention to. Okay, I'll keep telling you as and when they're coming here, or maybe I'll just run through all the processes and I'll tell you the important things to consider or pay attention to while preparing for the examination. So planning risk management plan will have all the information, like who are the people who are responsible to monitor the risk, or who will be involved in identification of the risk. What is the guidelines, organization guidelines for the risk situation. So you will make all those plan and strategy, and then you will start preparing your risk register and identify risk. So risk register will be an output of your identify risk process, where you will make a comprehensive list of all the events which may impact your project negatively or positively. Okay, so this is one of the important change here. So far, PMBOK or in the examination also, the emphasis was more on the negative risk or threats. But with the change which is in January, there will be enough emphasis on the positive risk or opportunities. So you will identify all those risks. You will also identify the areas which may get impacted if that risk situation happens. You will also identify at what point of time it may happen, whether it is an opportunity or threat. And if that risk happen, how it may impact the project, which area of the project may get impacted. Okay, who is the owner of this? And based on that, you will do the qualitative analysis, like what is the probability that it may happen, and if that happen, what will be the impact. You will calculate the scale to which it may impact your project, and you will start adding the monetary value to those perform qualitative risk analysis. So you will use your decision tree analysis. You'll use this technique, different tools to add monetary value to your risk, that what will be the cost of this risk, or what will be the financial impact of taking certain decisions. Okay, based on this, you are going to prepare your risk response. Risk response is, you'll define your strategy, whether based on whether it is a negative risk threat, or a positive risk, which is opportunity. So for threats, you can transfer it, you can avoid it, you can accept it, or you can mitigate it. I will not get into the detail of that, because that itself would require around 15-20 minutes of discussion, which we do not have right now. And for positive risk, you will have this or opportunities. You can again share it, you can transfer it, you can accept it or enhance it. So you will make strategy for each and every risk, and based on that, you will document your risk response or specific actions to respond to that risk in your risk register. Okay, so the key document that will be updated in your 11.2, 11.3, 0.4 and 0.5 is your risk register. So that is about risk. And then communication management plan. You will first of all, you will define your who are the stakeholders who need to be informed, and what is their communication requirement, what are the policies of the organization, what is the structure that you have, what are the tools available to you, and how this communication. So the key point in your communication management plan will be who is the sender, who is the receiver, how it will be sent, whether using email or phone or fax or physical face-to-face meetings, what is the frequency, is it going to be daily basis or weekly basis. Okay, all these details will be documented in your communication management plan. And most importantly, your stakeholder management plan. So how the stakeholders will be managed, how their expectations will be managed. You will do a power versus interest grid analysis, so which when you go through the detailed study, you will get to know about that. So you will understand that each stakeholder, what interest that stakeholder has in the project, and what is the power or what influence that person has on this project. Okay, based on that, you will use your strategy that, okay, this person, let's say director of the client organization, is a senior stakeholder who is very high in power and who may have very high interest or maybe a moderate interest in the project. So based on this, you will make your communication plan that this person will receive a bi-weekly or maybe a fortnightly dashboard, high level dashboard, and that will be presented to him by the project manager only. Suppose there is a client representative, there are two junior members sitting in your organization representing the client. Project manager need not to submit a report to them every week. So they will be a part of all the internal reviews. Okay, so you will be able to make those strategies when you have identified all your stakeholder in your identify stakeholder process, and you have appropriate analysis of their power and their influence in the project. Procurement management plan is again an area where if needed you will have to look into that. So some components, so procurement is something if you need to buy any product or services from outside and you need to engage with any third party vendor, then you are going to do the all the processes in the procurement. So you will make your plan, you will make your strategy, you'll do the analysis first of all whether you want to buy it or you want to make it in house. In case if you decide to outsource it or buy it from outside, then what type of contract you're going to use. So type of contract is a very important topic. A lot of people get confused into that. Study that very carefully. So what type of contract we are going to use, who will be the key person to do that, how it will be executed, and you will also publish your RFP, RFI, request for proposal or request for information for that work to be done by that vendor. So these are all the processes which you will do, which you will have to follow under the planning process group. And as I told you earlier also, now I think you will have a better picture here. There is no sequence defined by PMI. You will have to create your own logical flow, which may be highly subjective, specific to the project. Okay, you must have seen here that scope, time, and cost, they are so closely interrelated that a small change in the scope will have the significant impact or may have a significant impact in your time and in your cost. So you will have to do these processes concurrently, striking the right balance, and once everything is finalized, then you will save the baseline probably at the same time. Okay, you will not do that in isolation. Clear? So this is all about the planning process group, all the processes in the planning process group. So with this, I think after this I will stop for a few minutes and answer all the questions. Just too many questions coming here. Let me just sip some water and I'll answer the questions. In the meantime, you can type in if you have any further questions here. Okay. So there is a question from, okay, it's not a question, basically it's a comment from Sivaraman. This diagram is very good explanation. Thanks a lot, Shivraman. Thanks for your kind words. They're really appreciative and it makes me feel good. Thank you. Sudarshan is saying I registered for the classes from 14 November weekend. Do I get the change pattern of the study? Yes, you will get the change pattern, but you will have an option in the LMS. You want to go through the change one or you want to go through the current one. And other questions here. Okay. Sami Sino has a question. Is there any way or strategy to choose questions in the examination? No. All those 200 questions will be randomly mixed and you will have no option to choose those questions in the examination. They will come to you. You can define which one you want to answer now, which one you want to answer in the second pass, but you cannot choose the questions. Okay, Natasha is okay, she has left. You can go to the recording, Natasha, later on. And Mukesh Mathur has a point. Are PMBOK and PMBOK guide are different? Very good question and very good point thing that you have pointed out. PMBOK is Project Management Body of Knowledge, and PMBOK Guide is a distilled version of that knowledge, is that of that body of knowledge. The PMBOK Guide is a distilled version of that body of knowledge. Okay, but for the PMP examination and for the real-time use also, there is no physical substance available as PMBOK. Everything is there in the PMBOK Guide. Okay. Chandrasekhar has a question. Once we have requirement list in collect requirement, why do we require define scope? Chandrasekhar, you will collect the requirement and then you need to translate those requirements into the scope. I will give you an example. Let's say you're working on an application and one of the customer has given you a requirement that I do not want any unauthorized person to use this application. Okay, this is a requirement. This requirement will come to you. You will document that and you will come back to your organization and you'll start reviewing the requirements with the team. When you come across this requirement, it means it tells you that you must include the user validation module in the scope. Okay, the requirement is we do not want any unauthorized person to use this application, and how this requirement translates into scope is you are adding it into the product scope scope description that there must be a user validation module in this entire application, and that will be a part of your scope statement. So define scope is a process where we translate that requirement into the scope, and we also add associate findings like what is in scope and what is out scope. Now going to the next level of this question, customer said I want some way of making sure that the application is super secure. So they said we want you to put this iris or eyeball scanner for user validation. They have given the requirement can be a wish list also. When you start working on the scope, you realize that that eyeball scanner is so expensive that it will throw the entire budget out of control. So you look at the alternative, and then in the scope statement you document that uh, procurement of eyeball scanner is out of scope. Of course, before you publish this, you will have to have discussion with the customer, but the scope statement will make it very clear that procurement of eyeball scanner is out of scope. Maybe customer will do it, or you can also say that you will use a thumb fingerprint scanner for authentication. That is the important of your define scope process. I hope I was able to clarify this, Chandrasekhar. Please let me know if you still have any doubt. So Mukesh is saying, so you will be our guide because you are the clear and precise and explaining everything nicely. Thanks a lot, Mukesh. You know, I really appreciate your kind words. We have a fleet of trainers and all these instructors are handpicked and they are excellent. In case if you are specifically looking for my classes, then you know I can provide you the recording of my session in case if I am not taking that batch. But believe me, all our instructors are equally good. Okay, Srinivasa, thanks a lot, Srinivasa. And okay, Sandeep, it's again a question which I had asked her multiple times earlier, but I'll quickly tell you. I would personally suggest to keep I'll give you a guidance of around 6 to 8 weeks time, but that all depends on your personal, your experience, your understanding of the processes and the PMBOK guide as well. Okay. Catherine, okay, thanks a lot for again your appreciation. And Sandeep, daily 2 to 4 hours. I think these questions I already answered. Sandeep, I will ensure that you know I'm sending this mail to you where I can discuss this. We can connect offline and I can give you a personalized study plan. Edmund is saying 85% is it for the first attempt? I'm sorry, I'm not very clear with the question, or maybe I lost the thread. So if you can just you know put the whole question, I'll be able to answer that. Okay, let me quickly move to the other processes. Okay, Kiran Kumar has a very interesting question. How do we handle the scope if it keeps on changing? Well, that's you know if you look at it from the PMP perspective, PMBOK perspective. So what it says is, if there are too many changes, then project manager will have to use his discretion to decide that maybe something wrong, maybe the requirements were not collected properly. So that is a time where they should take the PM should take a call and maybe revisit all the requirements. Okay, so that is the guidance in PMBOK. But I've been a project manager. I've been there and done that. And I can understand how challenging it is to implement these processes as it is. Okay, in a real-time project, you really cannot put the entire project on hold and revisit your requirements. Situation may not allow that, but that is where you will have to use your leadership skills, your communication skills, your influencing skills, your soft skills. Okay, so your own confidence, your own skills to influence those people, the stakeholder, will be very, very important and very crucial in handling that one. So if I am that in that situation where the scope keeps on changing and I'm not able to put the project on hold, then I will have to define a strategy to work parallelly, to have a probably meeting with all the key stakeholders who are sending or throwing this change request to you again and again. Understand where they're coming from and tell them very clearly and openly that, okay, with this rate, we will not be able to complete, we will never be able to complete the project in time and within cost. Okay, so this is something which you need to handle in a different way. And Prasad, thanks a lot, Prasad. And Sonal is saying, can we have a specific session on cost management? Yes, Sonal, that is on the agenda. Keep watching for the session. But again, these sessions are very small and short sessions, so I will not be able to cover everything end to end in the cost management. Just the glimpses of that because of the constraint of the time. Okay. And Sudhakar is asking, any other book? Yes, there are some reference material. Maybe you can reach out to me. We can discuss this offline. Okay. Okay. Harita is saying, how do we know the motivational theory are part of the exam? They are not listed in PMBOK guide. Okay. Very interesting question. And remember, in the PMP examination, only 65 to 70% of the questions, and again, just an idea, just a guidance, only 65 to 70% questions will be coming directly from the PMBOK guide. Rest 30-35% questions will be coming from the general project management skills, which may or may not be there in the PMBOK guide. And that is why you need some experience, real-time experience. You will have to use your project management general knowledge and project management common sense to answer those questions. Okay, so they never say that everything will be based on PMBOK guide. Your project management common sense is extremely important. Okay, that is why I always insist that understand the overall picture, look at the holistic view, have a holistic view. Do not become a taskmaster, become a project manager where you look at the project management end to end. Okay. So, okay, thanks a lot, Sandeep. Thanks, one. Thanks a lot. Edmund, please read. Okay, I can see your questions here. When you want to test your progress, if you're ready for the exam, the 85%, is it on the first attempt or the practice? For the practice, yes, I mean, right from, I mean, you need to score 80, 85 or 90% consist. I would stick to my previous number, 85 to 90% consistently in all the attempts. For example, we have around 5 mock tests and 230 additional questions, which is pre-assessment questions. So all these tests that you take, consistently you have to perform 85% or above. Then only you should think that you are ready for the examination. Okay, so Sudarshan has a question. All these terms of PM are well heard of and seem to be common. So how difficult and important it is to remember terms? Extremely important. Sudarshan, becoming familiar with the specific terminologies used in the PMBOK guide is extremely, extremely important. Okay, and there's a question from Subhash Bose, who initiate the project. Okay, so when you go through the project charter process, you will see one of the input as a business justification or the business requirement. There are multiple reasons why a project is started. It can be your internal requirement. You might be doing an internal, or that might you might be doing it for a customer. Customer has reached out to you saying that, you develop this product for us, you do this project for us, you do this construction for us, and we'll pay you for that. That will become a project. Sometime you may have to do this project to remain competitive or to retain your position in the market. So the project will, the trigger will come from the business requirement, okay, which you will receive from your senior management. And that is how the process of developing the charter will start, based on the business requirement. Okay, okay. Catherine, if scope keeps on changing, can being a project manager, can we ask the stakeholder to have a variation to a project? Catherine, see, there you really need to understand that what type of project it is, and that is the reason agile project management is also picking up. The agile way of managing the project is picking up. You really need to understand whether the customer and your organization as a project manager, you have absolute clarity on how the end product or how the outcome of the project is going to look like. If you have that, then use this PMBOK or traditional project management. If you do not have any clarity, if you decide or your customer says we will not be able to give you 100% of the requirement, you develop some part. Based on that, we will see how it fits into our requirement. Then you must use the agile project management. So if you see there is a very frequent change every second day, third day, every review meeting, they're asking for the huge changes, you really need to take a step back and think, is it the right approach? But again, that's a decision which will be taken at a higher level. So coming to our guidance given in the PMBOK guide, if there are too many changes, you should ask the stakeholders to understand where they're coming from and why there is a frequent change, and keep the appropriate buffer for a variance here. Okay. Srinivasa saying he has completed the PMP session with other instructor from Edureka. Yes, Srinivasa, you can get my recording. You can just drop me a mail to me or to support at Edureka, and I'll ensure that you get those recordings. Mohammed has to leave. Okay, fine. Okay, let me. Abhishek Singh is asking where I can get this 5 mock tests. They are in our LMS. Once you enroll, you'll get access to that. Okay, and Sami is saying, okay, Sami, you can just connect with me offline. I'll answer your question. And I can see a lot of questions with a similar nature. Prabir, yes, you'll get the recording. Okay, fine. I think I have covered all the important questions, and rest, as I suggested, please go through my recording. Now, let us quickly, the timing is running short, and let us quickly move to the other process groups. We still need to cover the executing and monitoring, controlling, and closing. So let me just go to the executing process group 4, 4, 5. You can also make a note of the page that where we are going here. So we covered all the processes coming from the planning process group, and now let us look at the execution. So execution process group has a very important process coming from the project integration management, that is direct and manage project work, where the project manager will lead and guide the team in doing the work, or in a simple way, whatever work you have identified, your team will start doing that work. And when you do the work, you will have the work results which will be taken into next process group. So the processes here are the one of the most important processes, your perform quality assurance. So quality assurance is a process where you will do the audit. Okay, where you do the audit to ensure that the processes are being followed, are being adhered to. You will also use the input of the control quality processes to see whether the processes that you're following are capable of delivering that result or not. Okay, any process improvement is needed or not. You will also do your managed stakeholder engagement. So whatever plan you had made for stakeholder management, you will start executing those strategies. For example, you identified a stakeholder as director of the client organization. So your project manager or whoever was authorized or identified to communicate or meet with the director, will ensure that at an agreed frequency he is going there and meeting those stakeholders to ensure that their expectations are managed. Okay, you will also okay, so the maximum number of processes are coming from HR management, where you will acquire the team, you will build the team based on the roles required for this project. You will do the team building activities, your do some team building. You will set the expectations, you will also set the guidelines for reward and recognition, and you will manage project team. So remember the difference in develop project team and manage project team. Develop project team is a process where you will do the team building activity, you will ensure that the team is ready to take the project, you will impart the trainings if needed, you will set the guidelines, you will use all the theories to motivate them, you will ensure that the right hygiene factors are there in the project or in the team environment, and the team in the environment is hygienic and really good and conducive for the productivity. Manage project team is a process where you will look at the work which is being done by those resources. So you will review, you will do the, I'm sure everyone have gone through that, your one-on-one, your weekly or maybe periodical meetings with your manager. We all do that with our team. We also have this team meetings with the managers as well, where they will look at what was the work assigned to the team member, how much of that has been done. So you will not look into the scope creep, you will not look at the scope variance, but you will understand what is the contribution of the team. Okay, if the work is getting delayed, of course it is getting delayed because people who are working on that are not able to finish the work on time. So you will try to understand what are the reasons for that. Is it the competency? Is it the efficiency? Is it the capability? Is it the right motivation level? Okay, you will understand all those things, and based on that you will come up with the suggestions whether you will execute your rewards and recognition policy. You will probably give them rewards, you will motivate them, and you will also resolve any issues or conflicts if they are there among the project team members. Okay. Communication is again it will work very closely, it will go hand in hand with your stakeholder management. All the stakeholders whom you identified earlier, you made the strategy that this stakeholder will be managed by, let's say, project manager or associate project manager, and he will be in the communication management plan. You made a strategy or made a plan that this person will be attended on a weekly basis or maybe a fortnightly basis, and he will be given a dashboard based on the project performance, PowerPoint presentation in a face-to-face meeting. So you will do that work as well. Procurement, if there are something which need to be procured from outside, you will conduct the procurement in the planning group. I told you, you will make a plan, you will decide that what type of contract you're going to use. Is it the fixed price contract or cost plus performance contract or cost based contract or time and cost based contract, cost reimbursement contract. So type of contract, you will have the RFP and RFI. So you will start getting the response of RFP and RFI, and in conduct procurement process, you will review all those response to the RFP, RFI you had. You will look at the all the proposals submitted by the prospective bidders, vendors. You will review them, analyze them, and then you will award the contract. You will finalize or shortlist one or more than one vendors, and you will sign the deal with them. Okay, that is all a part of your direct and manage project work and executing process group. Okay, and with this we now move to the next process group. I hope it is clear to everyone. If you have any question, please feel free to type in asking your question here. Okay, Sandeep has a question here. Which exam option? Okay, Sandeep, this is again a slightly off the track question, but let me answer it quickly. PMP exam is available in both CBT and PBT mod. PBT mod is not so prominent in India right now. PMI, does that from time to time in certain cities, but I would suggest you go for online if the option is available to you nearby. Okay. In case not, you can reach out to me later on and I'll tell you what is the schedule PMI has for paper-based test in all the tier 2 cities in India. Okay. So I will now move on to 451. Luckily, there are not many questions at this point of time. And now we talk about the monitoring and controlling project work, so or monitoring and controlling process group. So the processes here are all the control processes that we have already talked about, your validate scope and control scope process. Sorry, your this validate scope and control scope process. I told you that control scope is a process where the team will meet on a periodical basis and they will see what amount of work has been done, and uh, by that point of time, is it as per the plan or not. Okay. Validate scope is a process where once the deliverable is completed and tested by internal team, you will present it to the key stakeholder who has authority to say that yes, this is completed, or who has authority to accept the deliverable and mark as completed. Okay. uh, you will have the control schedule where we will do the variance analysis. We will compare our actual timelines with what was planned. Control cost is variance analysis for cost, where we will do the earned value analysis. Earned value analysis is a very important topic. So after we cover all the domains, I'm going to take you to the table and I'll quickly tell you what are the topics where you need to really pay attention to while preparing for the examination. So stay on to it, wait for a few more minutes and we'll be there. Project quality management is a control quality, and the key activity that you do in control quality is inspection. Remember, quality assurance that we did in executing group is always done on the process. We do audit, and audit is always and always done on the process. Control quality is a process which is done in monitoring and control, and the key activity there is inspection, and inspection is always done on finished goods, service or result. Okay, once a deliverable is completed, then only you can do the inspection. It will never be done for the half completed deliverable. Okay. And the output of the control quality process will go to your validate scope process. So first internal team will do the inspection, then it will be presented to the customer or the project manager in validate scope process. Okay. Project communication management and project stakeholder management. Here you will compare, you will do a variance analysis, you will look, you will check whether all the stakeholders are receiving communication on time or not, and whether their expectations are being met or not. Remember, project stakeholder management and project communication management go hand in hand. They work very, very closely. Understand that thin line between communication and stakeholder. Okay. Project risk management is control risk. Control risk is a very, very important process here, because all the risks that you identified, you will do an audit of that. When I say audit, means you will evaluate, are you facing any risk situation or not. It may also happen that you are not into any risk situation, but when you look at the trend, if not today, maybe tomorrow you will be able to uh, get into a risk situation. For example, cost variance. When you prepare your cost management plan, you said plus minus 5% of variance is accepted. The tolerance limit for that is 5% in budget. Okay. During the first month, you realize that okay, there is a 0.5% variation. You have 0.5 negative 0.5% variance. That means you are overspending. Second month, that become 0.75. Third month, it becomes 1.25. Fourth month, it becomes 1.5. So the tolerance limit is 5%. But if you look at the trend is upward. It means if you do not take any corrective or preventive action, at some point of time, you're going to cross your threshold. And you have 5% tolerance limit does not mean that you will allow that variance to happen. You will have to take all the appropriate measures to keep it in control. So you will do the audit. of the risk. You will also do the audit of the processes, whether they are capable of handling that risk or not, and you will take appropriate actions. And important point here is, what is a risk today may not remain a risk tomorrow. What is not a risk today may become a risk tomorrow. So you will review your risk register. All the processes that we saw in the risk management, you may have to repeat all the processes again, because some old risk you will make them inactive, and you may identify some new risk. When you do the new risk, you will have to do the probability and impact assessment. You will have to do some quantitative assessment of that. You may have to define a new response strategies for that. Okay. So that all you will do in your control risk. Control procurement is a process where, in case if you have outsource some work to any third party vendor, you will ensure that the relationships are maintained, managed, and you will also do that audit and inspection on the work that the vendor is doing or that contractor is doing there. And you will resolve any dispute if there are any disputes there. So in all these processes, if you see any element of change, all these processes, when you do the variance analysis, you will be able to identify if there are any deviations or not. Once you identify the deviations, you need to do the root cause analysis, find out why this is deviating, why there is a variance, why it is not as per plan. And once you do a root cause analysis, you need to act on that. Okay, you may have to take some preventive or corrective actions. And once you have identified the action, you must raise a change request to implement that action. Remember, you cannot do that at your own, no matter how small or insignificant that looks in the first glance, but you will have to use change control process. So all the change requests along with the associated data, like the impact analysis on all the constraints, will go to perform integrated change control process, where it will be reviewed by the change control board and implemented in the executing process group. Okay, so with you'll keep on doing this executing and monitoring controlling. If you remember, if you recall that slide which I had shown you, we'll keep on doing this cycle unless all the deliverables are completed. And once all the deliverables are completed, then we move on to the closing process group. And the closing process group has two processes here: your close project or phase and close procurement. So you need to close procurement, and then you will be able to close your project or phase. So close procurement is once the work is done, completed by the vendor, or maybe for any breach of condition, you are terminating the contract. So you will have to inform formally, you need to inform formally to the vendor or the contractor that we are terminating this contract. Okay, and you will do all the audit, you will settle all the account, you will settle all the disputes, and make sure it is closed properly. And close project or phases, when all the deliverables in the scope in the WBS are completed, then you will submit a report of all the accepted deliverable to the customer. You will review what was supposed to be done, what all has been done. You will do the analysis, you will do the the settlement with the customer, resolve any dispute, and you will formally notify all the stakeholder about termination of this project. And also you will document your lessons learned. Okay, so that your experience in this project can be used as a reference or as an input while working on the next project. That knowledge base is extremely important. Clear? So this is all about your all the domains of this project management. And also we did a very quick high level overview of all these processes here. If you have any question there, you can type in now. We are overdue by almost 8 minutes. But looking at the type of questions and the number of participants, which are huge, I think this delay is fine. So let me just go back to the questions that you have. Sandeep is asking a question: which exam option would you recommend? I would personally, if you ask for my opinion, I mean, my personal preference is computer-based examination online, because for the simple reason, in the online computer-based examination, you will get to know the results then and there. Okay, and Srinivasa has a question: what is a validation, verification, inspection? Where is the audit happens? Okay, so audit happens during quality assurance process. Okay, audit is always done on the process. Scope validation and verification is one and same thing. This is actually PMBOK, this is a small glitch in the PMBOK. They have used this validation and verification at different places, but it is same thing. So audit is done in the quality assurance process, which is on the process. Inspection is done on the in the quality control process, which is always done on the completed deliverable. Okay, validation and verification. So this is, once you do this inspection, it is the deliverable will be called as validated or verified deliverable, which then will go to your uh, validate scope process, where it will be presented to the senior stakeholder or key stakeholder, be it a project manager or the customer. They will review it, they will verify it, and then it will be it will be called as accepted deliverable. Srinivasa, I think you can keep looking for the next series of webinar where I'm going to pick up these small topics, and you can get this clarified. And Abhishek has a very interesting question. Please tell about how to remember ITTOs. Okay, let me just go back to the slide, Abhishek, for this question. It's a very important question for everyone. So let me just go there and I'll show you take you to the slide. So when you come to this section, okay, I'll give in few seconds for this to pop up. Okay, so you really need to understand the logical sequence. You must understand what is the output that you're going to get from each process. That part you must remember. And based on the output, if you understand the logical sequence, you will be able to go backwards. To get this output, what inputs would be needed and how they will be processed, what tools and techniques will be used to get the desired output. That is the approach that I used, that is the approach that I use, and that is the approach that I suggest to everyone. In fact, when you go through my sessions or recording, you will see that I always start backwards. That each process, what is the key output? Focus on the output. And then use your project management general knowledge and the common sense to see, to get this output, what all inputs you would need. Okay, Hari, thanks a lot. Hari, thanks for your appreciation. And Abhishek, I hope I was able to clear this. Let me know if you have any more questions here. And Ovitu is asking, if I learn for PMP, will this be a problem to take the CAPM? Very good question. No. In fact, most of the people, they actually attend the standard PMP training to go for the CAPM examination. So this is not at all a problem. You can attend the PMP training and then you can go for CAPM examination if you do not have sufficient experience. Okay, so I can see I have answered all the questions. If you still have some more questions, I am waiting, and you can ask your questions right now, and then we can close. Okay, one important thing. Okay, just hang on. I promise that I'll take you through the table and tell you what are the important process topics in the process. So give me just one more minute. I'm sorry for this delay, but I think it's in the benefit of everyone. So let me go to page number 423. Okay, so people always ask me what are the important topics that they need to pay attention to. I would say numericals. Pay attention to the numericals. There are some formulas, there are some in critical path, in earned value, there are certain formulas, and that is the only element which I would suggest that you memorize. You must remember all the formulas. Okay, formulas you will get mostly in your estimating duration or estimating cost in terms of your 3-point estimate, PERT estimate, where you calculate the different range there, standard ranges, and then you will come to your I'll come to this one, develop schedule. So develop schedule is where you will have to understand the critical path. So critical path is a very important topic and very scoring topic. very scoring topic, because these numericals are very scoring. You will also get this in control cost. You'll get on value. On value is something which is very easy, very simple, and highly scoring. And believe me, from my experience, I can tell you, these are the only questions where you will have 100% confidence that yes, this is the right answer. You will also get some numericals in the risk. When you are doing this qualitative risk or mostly quantitative risk. In quantitative risk, you may have to you may get question on the decision tree, so where you'll use some amount of numerical questions. So I'll tell you, from each knowledge area, project integration management, each and everything is extremely important. Remember that logical flow. From the project scope management, of course, the first process in each knowledge area is important, but you understand the difference between your requirement and the scope statement and WBS, outcome of WBS, very carefully. What I'm asking you to do is understand the difference between the output of each of these processes. Okay, they can be very confusing for some people. And understand why validate scope, and how this and when this validate scope process is carried out. That again, that in what order you will do that, you must prepare a logical flow for that. Okay. From time management part, I would suggest that the sequencing is something which is crucial, very crucial. You understand what type of sequencing you can have, start to start, finish to finish, finish to start, start to finish, because that understanding will be very, very crucial for you to understand the critical path. Okay. From cost management, again, everything is important, but topic that you really need to pay attention to is earned value management, which is in your control cost. Quality, understand the logical sequence between logical flow or interrelationship between perform quality assurance and control quality. Input, tools and techniques, and output is something that you'll anyway know about it, but understand why and under what circumstances, at what stage you will use these different processes, and how output of control quality is used in perform quality assurance to do the process audit, to understand whether the process is capable of delivering the or completing the deliverable within guidelines or not. Okay. In HR management, roles and responsibilities are important, and there would be a lot of a few not lot I'll say, but the maximum of the questions will be coming from the some of the different theories and the develop and the approach that you use. Okay, so there are a lot of theories which you need to remember and need to go through them. And in communication, that communication matrix is very important. How, when, what, these are the basics that you need to understand there. And also that channels of communication, it's a very simple calculation, n multiplied by n minus 1 by 2. So it's a simple formula to calculate how many channels of communication. And these questions are very simple but tricky. How these questions will be that, okay, you have some 5 stakeholders, so you have x number of channels, and then 3 stakeholders are added. So how many new channels are added? I don't want to confuse you, but read the question carefully when they are talking about the channels of communication. Sometimes the question might not be asking you to tell how many total number of channels will be there, but they're asking only for the difference. So pay attention to that. A lot of people have seen make mistake there. From risk, identify, and this PI, probability and impact matrix, is very, very crucial. People make a lot of mistakes in that one. Okay. And planned risk response, understand the difference between risk and issue. Risk is what is uncertain. When the uncertainty becomes 100%, that means the event is 100% sure, event has already happened or it is going to happen, then it is not a risk, but it becomes an issue. When you identify a risk and the probability of that risk is 100%, then it is no longer a risk. It must be a part of your plan. Okay, so these differences is something that you need to understand. And in perform quantitative risk analysis, you must look at decision tree analysis. Okay. And procurement is something you'll get questions like you and your contractor share the cost or share the profit. So how that will be distributed. Type of contract is very important, very very important topic. And which type of contract is beneficial for buyer and which is beneficial for seller, that difference is something you must understand very very carefully. Okay. And in stakeholder management plan, from the stakeholder, your risk register and everything is again as usual is important, but your power versus interest rate is something that you really need to pay attention to. Okay. So these are some of the key important topics what I could cover in such a short span of time, and I hope it was helpful for you. If you felt that I was genuine in my efforts and was able to clarify some doubts on that, please provide your feedback. Your feedback is very important for us to improve our sessions in future. And these are the details. You can reach out to us. You can contact us at sales@edureka.co, and I'll also write my email address. I'll just type in my details, contact details again. You can also reach out to me, and I'm also available on all social media, LinkedIn. You can connect with me everywhere. I'm just responding to one of the messages, so you all get to see that. Okay, and with this, we sign off from this session. We are 20 minutes overdue. I really apologize for that, but looking at the questions, I think that is was really needed. And wish you all the best. And I'm hopeful and I'm positive that you all will be able to clear that in first attempt. So with this, a very good night to you, a good day ahead to you, and enjoy your day, rest of the day and evening. And we sign off from there. Please send me mail if you have any question. So bye bye, take care, and see you.